Welcome to the EST Hangout.
This is the EST Hangout, and today's guests are...
It's Tuesday, March 5th. Oilers, a game day today as they're out in Boston to take on the Bruins to start this road trip. This is the EST Hangout presented by Whiteclaw Hard Seltzer, live on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, or for those watching us on YouTube, Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here, and joining us from NHL.com once again, Derek Van Diest, who's on call because kind of a busy week in hockey.
It's a busy week, yeah.
A little bit of a busy week in
I'm on
hockey.
trade watch, so I may have to bolt. No, I'll be fine.
I won't lie. Like it would actually, at least the trade happen. So if you have to, it's going to be exciting because some sort of trade is happening.
Waiting for
right?
something to happen. You're waiting for the first shoe to drop. I think once the first trade happens and sets the market, and then I know there's been a couple like Lindholm, the Tanev, kind of set the market. But I think once some of those big pieces start to fall, then I think it'll just be okay. Because if you can't get Gazzola, then you're going after Henrique or you're going after
Vetrano, Tarasenko.
So that's the thing. So I think right now everyone's putting in their best bids for Jay Gazzola, and I think Pittsburgh's kind of okay. Once they get it figured out, then I think that dominoes will fall.
So James Duthie loves when all the trades happen on Friday. He doesn't want trades happen sooner because he's got to fill a bunch of hours.
5 hours.
As a writer, do you want them spread out through the whole week?
I do.
Yeah, it makes it easier for you.
It gives you more to talk about. So now we talk about this trade this day, and then we talk about this trade this day, because you can get more in depth in the trades if they happen one every other day or whatever. Like if they lead up to it, you can kind of sink your teeth into it as opposed to like having 5 trades on one day and then you kind of just going with the nuts and bolts. Like you can sink your teeth into a little. As a writer, you can sink your teeth a little bit more. So you don't want everything on one day. You want things
we
to,
do.
I've never thought about the writers in this because
nobody does.
I've always thought about
ever
the TV,
thinks about
right?
the writers.
Well, that's
the 8:30 starts. They don't think about the writers. The waiting 20 minutes to open the room. They don't think about the writers.
But the rule is it has to
giving
be
us
open 5 minutes
answers.
before.
Well, yeah.
But how often
tell
does
that
that
to some of the teams? That
It's
come
5
to
minutes
town.
after final whistle.
5 minutes
5
after the
minutes
end of the game.
after the end of the game, the room's supposed to be open. And who was here last week? We sat there for 20 minutes before they opened the room. I can't remember. Or maybe I won't throw mine in the bus.
Mini, Calgary.
There was a team that kind of it was an Eastern team.
Boston.
Might have been either Boston or no, it wasn't Pittsburgh. I can't remember. No, Pittsburgh opened the room right away because Sydney wants to talk and get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Which would be the play, I would think.
That would be the play.
Like, I want to get this over and done with and get gone.
Get it over with. Like, the Penguins actually opened the room faster than I remember. And then Sydney was sitting there, and he's like, let's get this done so I can get the hell out. And he doesn't get up from his stall, right? That's the one
old school
Crosby thing. He just kind of sits in a stall, and then you got 25 people,
that's very
surrounding
NBA.
his stall.
That's very NBA
other teams
star
will
at
make
the end
a
of the
player,
game.
will
And
make a player stand up.
But it used to be guys would just sit in their stall. Remember, we would crouch or kneel down or whatever, and then guys started standing up again.
It used to be because that was it was the best time was when there was a lot of guys made available. Now you go into the dressing room, there's 1 or 2 guys, right?
Yeah.
And you almost have to ask for the guy. They don't open the room anymore where the whole team is in there and you can go and sit down beside a guy and just really get in depth and talk to him and he'll make him feel comfortable. Now it's like 10 cameras there, whatever, and 3 people asking questions. That's the one thing that kind of grates me a little bit sometimes.
10 cameras. There's that many cameras now?
I don't know, whatever it is.
Not anymore.
There's a lot of
hardly any
But the
cameras
problem is
anymore.
it's the same 3 or 4 people always asking the questions in the scrums and then whatever it is, that's the way it is, I guess now. But back in the day, you could really kind of sit down and get to know a player and talk to a guy and they get to know you. They know who you are. They know who you. Now they don't know. They see 10 faces. They don't know. They don't care. They see some of the guys that are there down there every day, but to be honest, like if I walked into that room. Like they all know Tom, like right, but some of our writers walked in the room. They just know. I know he's a writer, but I have no idea who he is. The exception of McDavid.
But you and Connor and Leon,
Connor, we've had
because now you guys are friends.
Well, we're friends because I'm no longer adversarial. I work for them. Essentially.
For the league, right?
The label has changed a little bit.
Changed. And they were quick to realize that, especially Connor. Yeah, Connor was quick to realize that.
He knows.
He's like, now Connor. So I got that answer out of Connor last. Like, when is the last time Connor cracked a joke in a scrum and said, I'm not scoring ever again. I'm just going to pass the puck from now on. I'm like,
Money.
We were
That was
talking about
hilarious.
that going, I don't think he's ever cracked a joke in a scrum like that. I thought it was awesome. Like, I thought it was great.
And then he followed up by doing exactly what he said
yeah,
that night.
I'm not passing that puck.
Yeah.
I'm not shooting the puck. He almost reluctantly shot the puck into the net the other night. I guess
I got that feeling.
There's nothing
too.
else here. Here we go.
Yeah.
exactly.
I guess I'll score.
I
Whatever.
guess I'll score. So, yeah, it's been good. It's been good. This is a fun time of year, but
It is.
I also like it getting over this date and let's focus on the playoffs. So let's move on because it's the speculation that like you're chasing rumors, you're chasing speculations. Let's be honest, agents throw stuff out there.
Yeah.
Like all these guys are getting their info from agents,
Yeah.
right? So they throw stuff out there just to kind of just have some fun and like, hey, maybe we can get our guy traded somewhere. And okay, let's say these guys are interested. And you talk to GM, I was like, I've never talked about this guy ever in my life. Like, it's interesting the way kind of these rumors kind of swell. And then a trade happens that no one saw coming. Who saw Ekholm coming?
Ekholm was the
Oilers
big
last
one.
year?
No, I didn't.
Nobody.
No.
His
Nobody
name
did.
wasn't thrown out there, I don't think,
Not
once.
one time.
Where some- and-
nobody said, no insider said
No.
Ekholm last year. Not one.
All I remember was people ripping on Ken Holland because he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't doing anything. And all these other trades were happening. And all of a sudden it was Ekholm. And everyone's like, oh my God, this guy's brilliant. Like this trade was unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, I guess you kind of hope Ken Holland's working on something like that. 'Cause
Oh.
the surprise is nice. The
Well, it is
surprise
nice,
when you
but
like that's the
yeah.
one thing about
This
the
is-
social media and stuff
yeah.
now. It takes away that entire surprise. Oh, this trade.
Yeah.
You know, we have all the speculation like, oh, it looks like Vegas or Canucks really for Gensel. Right? Okay, well, we kind of know now.
Yeah, no,
want the surprise.
It's funny because it's like I was talking to a colleague at the NHL offices this morning. It's Ken Holland's last kick at the can.
Yeah.
He's not going to go away quietly. He
No.
is going to make a splash. He's going to trade everything if he's allowed. He's going to trade every asset the Oilers have. So Broberg's on the table, Bourgault's on the table, the first rounder's on the table, the second rounder's on the everything is on the table, and he's going to make a splash, and he's going to say, if I was my last year, I'd be like, I'm going all in. Here are all my chips. We're going to win the Stanley Cup, and I'm walking out with a ring. And that's what he wants. He wants
Yes.
to walk away with a ring. So
I find it weird an organization letting a guy have a trade deadline and be the GM when he's not the GM next year.
Well,
I do find it weird
it
because
is-
it's.
it is a little strange.
I would want whoever the next GM is to be able to be like, well, I'm going to need some assets for next year. Like these are things I want. Like this is how I value
But
things.
I don't think he has carte blanche. I do think he has to get, there's layers here. Okay, Kenny says, I got this trade. Jeff Jackson, what do you think? Paul Coffey, what do you think? Daryl Cates, what do you think? There's layers to this.
There's an interesting order you just
Yes.
put there. There's a
that
very
is-
interesting order.
I think that
You
is-
just labeled it too.
Put up the correct order.
I think that is correct.
That
order.
is the URL. Confirm it right now. That is
I
exactly how it
believe
works.
that's the correct order
Yeah.
and the pecking, and then
Which is really weird that he's also on
Oh,
the bench, even
it's-
though it's going really well.
He
it's
doesn't
weird
want to be
that
there.
That guy's on the bench.
He doesn't
too.
want to be
He doesn't
there.
Who's the
wanna-
one right below the GM or the owner, right above the one? What is it? CEO or whatever
Yeah.
his title is. He's also the
But
assistant.
I think that
coach.
tells you something about Paul Coffey,
working.
though, that he does want this team to
Yep.
succeed. He does care about this team. He wants this team to succeed. He's sincere when he like. I've had multiple conversations with Paul Coffey, and more than I've ever had in my life before when he joined the team.
Yeah.
and it's like sit downs and
You guys are
conversations.
drinking
like,
buddies now. I'm kidding. I'm
Not
kidding.
really. We haven't gone out yet.
No.
But one, he doesn't need the money because he's made a lot of money in his career, and he made a lot of money with his
Business.
waste management company. So he's not in it for the money. He's in it because he cares about the hockey team. He cares about the franchise, and he's become friends with Daryl Cates, and he cares about Daryl Cates, and he sees other people. You know, like it's tough to be a Well, I'd love to be a billionaire, but it's tough because you don't know who's genuine,
Yes.
and who's there because you have the money. Right?
Who's a yes man? Who's
They're-
there just to
they're
try to
all
get
yes men.
things?
Let's be honest. They're all yes men with the exception of Paul Coffey. And I think Jeff Jackson probably fits in that conversation as well. Because Paul Coffey sees, okay, this guy's surrounded by hangers on and guys that just want to be around him. Because I'm going to tell him the way it is. And because I don't need anything from him. Paul Coffey does not need anything from Daryl Cates.
Correct.
And I think Daryl Cates was smart enough to recognize, okay, this guy's genuine. He's not going to BS me. He's not going to just agree with everything I say. I need to bring him on board. And I think look at the way it's worked out. It's worked out well. And the fact that he's behind the bench tells me that he didn't want to be behind the bench, but he thought this is the best thing for the team. I'll take one for the team, and I'll do this.
Enjoy it while it lasts. He's not coming back
Well, he's
on
not
the
coming
bench
back.
next
Next year it'll be a totally different thing. But
Yeah.
but look what he's done for Bouchard. Look what he's done for that defensive unit. Like he's done. Well, it's been wonders for Bouchard, to be honest.
Well, and top of that, like Chris Knobloch does deserve to get his own staff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's just placed on a bench.
Yeah.
He deserves.
He'll hire his own guys,
right? He
right?
deserves to go get the people that now he wants to be with, going into next year. The one thing before you jump in, the one thing I will say though about like everyone always rips the Old Boys Club. I've ripped the Old Boys Club stuff. The one thing you can't ever say about them is they don't care about the franchise.
No, they care.
They always want, like Kevin Lowe's were ripped for all those years. All those people ripped for all those years, but they ultimately wanted the Oilers to win, and they stuck around this organization when they could have gone and done so many different things in their post-playing days, but they stuck around the organization. Whether you agree or disagree with how they handled it, that's a different thing.
I think
but
Kevin
they
Lowe-
all cared
They do
about
care.
this franchise
They care
and
about
wanted
the
it
logo.
to win. Yes,
They do care about the logo. They do care about the franchise.
You can't take that away from
them. I
them.
do think that Kevin Lowe has tried to step away a few times, and they, like the Godfather, they just keep pulling him back in.
but he cares about the franchise.
He cares. They all
Yeah, he
care.
cares.
They all care. They all care because they built a legacy there, and they don't want to see that legacy tarnished. And I think they care, and they want to do what's best for them, what's best for the organization. And you know, let's be honest, there are some hangers on out there, but there are people that care. And Paul Coffey, to me, I have utmost respect for this guy. He's a straight shooter. He's a genuine guy. There's no BS with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really like. And just getting to know him, I'm like, this guy is like, yeah.
I like seeing him.
I like
It's fun to
him.
talk
I
to.
think and I think everyone does because there's no guessing with him. You know exactly where you stand with this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
And you don't even have to talk hockey with him.
No,
He's hilarious.
no, he's a great guy. He's an absolute great
Doesn't
guy.
give a-
And to be honest, he should have been involved in the franchise a lot sooner than he was. To be honest. my
Cash
opinion.
in the nasty chat saying Facebook and Instagram down right now. So
heard that.
for
I
all
heard
the
that
people that are.
driving in.
That's gonna ruffle some feathers maybe out there. People are
tried
gonna
to
have
go
to
on
do
Insta.
things.
I'm not on Instagram, but
You should get on Instagram's fun.
I should get on Instagram.
I hate it
trying
all. Don't get
TikTok.
on any of them.
Yeah.
Stay off socials if you can.
I tag you all the time on Instagram and no response.
I'm not
I
on
don't do
Instagram.
anything.
No
I don't.
reposts.
I only literally open up Instagram to go into direct messages.
You,
I don't
you slipping in
scroll.
girls' DMs.
No, there's a couple group chats.
Oh,
I'm in small ones.
I slide.
That's it.
So-
yeah, of course you slide in. I know you do. So no, I don't. You go on Insta. I don't go on Facebook. I don't go on Snapchat.
Yeah.
I don't do any of that. Just Twitter and Reddit. I love Reddit. I'm addicted to
I'm
Reddit.
not a Reddit guy.
Yeah, I'm not a Reddit guy.
I-
I do Twitter for work. It's
Yeah.
just strictly
Yeah.
work.
Yes.
I don't tweet about anything else. But like, no one cares about my opinion outside of hockey.
I do, Derek.
In my opinion,
That's why you're here.
I don't even care about my opinion outside of hockey.
What were you gonna say?
I was
Let's
gonna
just
say.
talk.
What, I was gonna say one thing. When Chris Nault, maybe he can bring in a guy next year to replace Coffey on the bench.
Bob Stauffer.
Yeah,
He's going to be the assistant
great
GM.
recommendation. But he can bring in Bob. But the one thing that I think gets forgotten is how much credit Mark Stewart deserves for the work he's done. Mm-hmm. He's the one getting in there, doing the dirty work, and Paul Coffey can come in and nicely provide his expertise. But it's Stewart that's done a lot of the legwork. And then if you want to keep Leon and Connor happy, you keep Glenn Gulletson around.
I like him.
If you want to piss those guys off and you want to say bye-bye to them, you let Glenn Gulletson walk.
Well, I don't know Glenn that well. We've had some conversations, but he's actually a good guy, smart guy, good coach, right? But this is
Great
the thing.
assistant, I think. I think it's coming down.
I
to-
think he's a great assistant, but I do think someone's going to say, you know what, I'm going to give this guy another head coaching shot. And that's how you're going to
I think he's like one of the highest paid assistant coaches in the
Yeah,
league.
but still, it's not a head coach. And
I know.
and every coach wants to be a head coach. And he has done it. Did in Dallas, did in Calgary. And someone's going to say to him, hey, look at that Oilers team. They got a good... When you have a good staff, people want to pillage your staff.
It's one of the best things you can. It's a great sign of an organization.
Yeah.
When people are grabbing your assistants, it also forces your head coach to keep different voices around him,
For
and
sure.
it doesn't get stale. It's a great thing to have.
yeah.
The continual
So-
rotation on your
so,
bench if you need to.
Oh, sure, they'll pay Gullickson a lot of money, but if someone comes up to him and say, hey, we're going to give you head coaching money, why don't you come coach the New Jersey Devils? That's a tough to turn down, right? Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Devils just fired their coach, but
I've been intrigued to see how Travis Green does there.
yeah.
Travis Green started off really well with the Canucks.
Yep.
Like that first year or so, it looked really good, and then it just went away.
Yeah.
And so, but he's now coached all three Hughes brothers now as the head coach.
Yeah.
I think he has.
He'll be that guy.
I think I like Travis Green, former Medicine Tiger, and I know him pretty well. But he is hard line in a sense. Like he is a guy that demands a lot out of his team.
He'll be a
And I think-
short-term coach.
Yes,
one of those.
Those guys don't last long because eventually the message gets lost. It's like screaming at your kid all day. And like
It's the Torts Ken Hitchcock type thing.
Oh yeah, those guys have short shelf lives for a reason. They come in here, rattle some cages, and after a while, they just get tuned out. So I hope that doesn't happen. I like Travis Green. I think he's a good coach, and I think he's a good guy. But maybe you know what? And he's a young enough coach to evolve. Like he's not an old school guy. This is the way I've done it. This is the way I've always done it. So this is what's successful. I'm not going to change. And I think that a lot of those guys are getting kind of shipped out, to be honest. I like this new, let's bring some young coaches, some young ideas, some innovative ideas. This game has to keep changing, has to be innovative. The players keep changing, so the coaches should be able to kind of change as well. So I like
done that with the last two moves.
I really like the Chris Knobloch. I did like the Jay Woodcroft. Let's bring in some young innovative coaches in here. We've tried the old guard and bring some young guys.
Mike Babcock's not going to New Jersey, is what you're saying?
I think Mike Babcock is
I'm
good to
kidding.
There's no one that could touch him now.
Yeah.
I don't think you could go and have another press conference with him after Columbus.
No, I think Mike is good to just go retire, live on his cottage. They call them cottages in Ontario, right?
There are cottages out there, cabins here.
Yes, yeah. So live on your cottage in Ontario and just, enjoy your life and the millions you've made coaching hockey.
And watch hockey and yell at the TV that you do better.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Or take up a hobby, woodcrafting, something like that.
You could hire him as a consultant and kind of behind the scenes guy. You wouldn't have to tell anybody. You just have to hire a consultant. And listen, I've known Mike and Babcock and I have had a actually pretty good relationship because I've known him since his days in Spokane. And I remember when I was in Medicine Hat, we went on that U.S. road trip, and I spent 45 minutes in his office talking hockey. He just wanted to talk hockey. I think he was happy that a Canadian was in town. They can just. So from that and then on, him and I have had a really good relationship.
But you're like one of 7.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Like my cousin played for him in Spokane and hated his guts.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of players did.
Yeah,
but he won. He was like Bill Belichick in a sense, though. Like, you win with him. For the longest time, you're winning. You wanted to go win.
Yeah.
Go play under Mike Babcock, and he'll get you close.
Well, Scotty Bowman is revered, but Scotty Bowman, you talk to players that played for Scotty Bowman, was the biggest, jerk around. Right. And mind you, I did have supper with Scotty Bowman once in Tampa. We had that pregame meal. This man is sharp.
Oh,
Oh my God. I was blown away about how he remembers every player that's ever played from dating back to his junior B days, for crying out loud.
That's amazing. That was like in 1961.
This guy played for me in like 1945, and he was like it was, are you kidding me? And they're like, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome meeting him, but I've heard the stories about how and I read the book. I read Ken Dryden's book. So, he treated the way he treated players, kept them off balance. And
for Babcock, there's a reason he was Canada's coach for a couple of Olympics.
Well, yeah.
There's a reason when we had those golden eras that he was chosen to be the head coach because he was the top.
Of his game. But
he's lost that. There's too much that has now come out. And it's just you can't.
But he's kept from the same mold. Like the whole, I'm going to scratch you in your hometown because that's a power move that Scotty Bowman used to do all the time, and I'm going to do it too because I'm in charge.
Mike Modano, game number 1500, scratched.
Like right,
I like
there
the
was
John
someone
Cooper
else
era.
someone was playing in Toronto for the first time and they're from Toronto, scratched. Like it was just like Jesse Pugliarvi. Scratched, but
I think that was more indicative of where the Pens were.
Where the Pens were right now, and where Jesse Pugliarvi is on that.
They probably wanted to play him in that game, but they're like, we need to
win
this game.
Win. Like obviously, they didn't think he's going to help you win.
Well, did you see his stat line?
0.00000.
Plus 1, 2 penalty minutes, 8 games played. Rest donuts.
Yeah. So, but hey, I'm sure he's helping Crosby be a better player in the offensive zone.
There's a chart for that.
That's a shot for the analytics. I apologize, but I just couldn't help it. Like the Jesse Pugliarvi talk is just drive me crazy. And then, you're coming here, it's like, oh, you're gonna do a story on Jesse Pugliarvi? No, I'm not.
They asked
I don't
you to?
care. No, not NHL.com,
okay.
but guys in the room like, you gonna go talk to Jesse? No,
I'm good.
not. I don't care. He doesn't play for the Oilers. He'll never play for the Oilers again.
Yeah.
I expected a story.
There's a
I don't
point.
get respect, but I'm like, I'm not interested in this guy anymore.
Fans loved him. It didn't work out.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to just move on and hope for the best for EST.
nice
Hopefully he
kid.
can.
Hey, you know what?
Hopefully he can turn it around. I don't think anyone
Hopefully he
hopes
can.
the opposite.
No.
Will he? That's another question.
He's a nice kid. You know what? The American Hockey League is full of nice kids.
Yes, it
Right?
is.
Right? He's a nice kid. He's
got a
not a
2-year
good hockey
deal.
player. I cannot believe that. Dubas should be fired for that. I think
Well,
people are
Gino Retta lit Dubas up yesterday.
Well, I think Dubas is the bloom is coming off that rose, right? Because boy genius flamed out in Toronto and he took a shot here in Pittsburgh. Now he's going to get a chance to rebuild this
This
team.
is where I think it comes. Like I feel like part of what happened this year with him is he comes in and he's told you got to try to do something quick to turn this team around with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang.
I agree.
And ownership saying you got to do it first here. It's not working. So I'm not going to blame him for this because he did, I think, what ownership asked of him.
Yeah.
But now he gets the chance to.
Well, he's gonna
okay,
have to rebuild
I
this.
got to tear this down. I got to build it up.
Yeah.
And can he build it into a top
Yeah,
team?
well,
and how long is it going to take
see.
for him?
How
Like I
bad
would say
is-
that's a 4 or 5 year.
he got a 7-year
switch.
contract.
How bad is
So
that
it's going to
Carlson
take
trade
4 or
for
5.
now?
It's going to
He was awful the other night.
But maybe that was
Penner's Pancakes just in the nasty chat saying, just imagine if the Oilers got Carlson at 10 mil now. Like there was all
said
that
it
talk
yesterday.
There was a
last
lot of
year.
talk.
It
Get
was a high, buy him now, and then it was, well, now what would have that happened look
Exactly.
like for the Edmonton Oilers this year?
I think a lot of people saw that, but good for that. But no, you're right. I think the ownership put pressure on him to, okay, this is our last kick of the can. We
With
have
these
these
guys.
37-year-old guys. Maybe we should try to win with them. And you can't win with 37-year-olds.
If you're Crosby, do you stick around?
Yeah.
Is it legacy there that you
Absolutely.
stick for career to pillar to
Absolutely.
post?
No,
or?
I don't buy that.
I would. If I was him,
Hey,
one of the few guys
Ray
to do
Bork.
it. Yeah, but Ray Bork
But he
had
never
one.
had the ring.
I guess
Right.
he never had the ring.
Went
So
to
he
the
was
dance,
chasing the
lost.
one cup.
What's the motivation in Crosby during a rebuild in Pittsburgh?
A legacy of career pillar
Yeah.
to post staying in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
He's going to the Hall of Fame the second he retires. He's going to be one of the
Tell-
greatest players of all
Tell
time.
everyone what you saw at the All-Star game and give them false hope.
Oh, let's not go there.
Crosby's coming to Edmonton, people. You heard it here first. McDavid and Crosby were very, very close at their All-Star game, talking a lot. Yeah, they're good friends, I'm sure, but
Probably.
why wouldn't you say, hey, Sid?
That would be the only thing that Crosby doesn't have on his resume.
What?
They've never played together. They want to play together so desperately.
Not that.
What?
Winning a cup with a Canadian team. How much does that separate you?
I don't
From
think-
like
I
for
don't
legacy,
think-
right? Like
think
if
that-
you've won your cups with Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
an iconic franchise too, where Lemieux played. If you came to Canada and then won a cup in Canada with a franchise, I think for your legacy, if you care about your legacy and what people are going to talk about you long term, that's the story. That's a pretty good story to add on. That's the nice.
Well-
if you left Pittsburgh, it's I went back to my country at least to go win a Stanley Cup to end the drought.
I would counter that, and I fully understand that. And I would counter it with he has done everything for Canada internationally. There's nothing else that he really needs to do. He does not need to help a Canadian franchise win a Stanley Cup. That's on Canadian owners and GMs to make happen and the players that are on those teams. I also feel like, too, and maybe you could attest to this, you get to know guys after a while, and you realize that the allure of playing in Canada is not, it's like the opposite.
Well, it's not.
I think it
Yeah.
depends
It's not
who you
for
are.
everyone.
Depends
Yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
But I look at Crosby and then look at what Patrick Kane's doing in Detroit, and I see Sid going, maybe I could do one more run with a team. They're done in Pittsburgh. Let's be honest, they're done. They have to blow up that team. They took a shot. They're 10 points out of a playoff
They're
race.
done.
They're done.
Dagger.
It's not going to happen. You look at that team. Yes, they're in the second half. We're back to back. They got stuck in Calgary till 4 a.m. Make whatever excuses you want, but they don't.
Oilers run
have
up
a
and
team
back in with back to back too, and they had to fly back to Edmonton
Well,
too.
they
Like
played
I know
in the
it's
afternoon. They
They
were
lost an hour.
but like it's
They were home
it
at
wasn't.
7. One team came in at 4 a.m. It's a little different.
But that doesn't equal 6-1.
Yeah.
Well, I think after 3-0,
It just shows you how bad of a team
Yeah.
they've
Pittsburgh.
become.
Yeah, Pittsburgh is awful, and like Letang is not the same player. Obviously, Malkin's not the same player. Crosby's still playing his butt off. Carlson has not fit in there well.
Yeah, that they don't have good
know,
depth there either.
Jari's a decent goalie, but they just don't have the depth to get it done.
Like
so-
Ricard Raquel is a good player. Riley Smith is a good player, but outside of that.
I would-
Jeff Carter on the fourth line.
I would be a fire sale if I was Pittsburgh. But gotta start moving guys here.
If there's pieces people want fully.
I'm sure there's people.
There's a few. Like Gensel, the big one, obviously, that we know.
Gensel's a big one, and interesting because he can't play till after the deadline. So that's
Would you be up for a Riley Smith in Edmonton? He just won a Stanley Cup with the Golden Knights. He was a very good second line guy there for 5 years.
yeah. No, I think
6
they
years.
have their pecking order, and I think that
Could you get him out of there?
you could. Like I think the Penguins are going to look in the mirror here. I think they play tonight, or they play tomorrow. They play tonight, I think.
I have
take a
to
look
check.
right
I
now.
think there's like 9 games
Yeah,
tonight.
so I think they play tonight. If they fall further out of the race, okay, they're like, okay. Because you're at 10 points with 20 games left, you're not making that up.
Pens are home to the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, well,
And so they should have a win there. Should be
But
the
the
key word.
Jackets just
But you're right, 10 points back of a playoff spot. They do have 4 games in hand, though, on the Lightning.
yeah.
But they also would have to jump the Islanders, Washington, and New Jersey right now.
That's the problem.
To
you
make
gotta
those
jump
10.
a bunch of teams, and that's an issue. So
Jackets spanked
and
Vegas
yeah,
yesterday.
And at this point, it's hard to make up room with 3-point games and things like that. And
Yeah.
like once you're in, you're in. So I think it's tough to come from behind and get it done unless you do what the owners did, go on a 16-game heater, preceded by an 8-game heater. Right now, and looking for a 5-game winning streak. So they're playing better now, but I still think there's issues there. They need to get, in my opinion, a top 6 guy, and then they can push everyone else down. Because to me, Kane is no longer a top 6 forward.
I think he is when he wants to be.
Well, when he wants to be, I guess. But
That's a problem.
like he's spending too much time complaining about not being on the top 6, whether you just go and play.
Yeah.
Right? Complain about opportunity. Well, you make your own opportunity in this league. You're not handed stuff. That's the way it's a what have you done for me lately league. It's not you were really good 3 years ago. Like, what have you done for me now? That's where it should be.
The rookie texting in 780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers inbox. Maybe the Pens held JP out of the lineup for trade reasons. Obviously, facetiously saying that.
I hope that was facetious.
Yes, it was.
For trade reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, you know
Actually,
what?
we haven't had that this year, really. Like the last couple of years, there's always like those 2 or 3 players that get held out for like a week
Well,
on
yeah,
end or
yeah,
2
Wenberg,
weeks. And
I guess.
Well,
in
now
Seattle.
now that Calgary lost, it'll be interesting to see how much Hannafin plays this week.
Yeah.
I don't know how many games they got this week for the trade deadline. I think it might be 1, but can you imagine he would get hurt? How big of that? So he's going to be a big piece. He's going to go Calgary. They didn't look good yesterday.
No.
That first period was as bad a first period I've seen them play all year, and I've actually watched a lot of Calgary games this year because it's my job.
Because you
now.
love the Flames.
So yeah, they didn't look good. They made a charge, but like teams are making charges. But if these teams below the playoff cut are beating up on each other, they're never going to make up any.
Yeah. Tampa and Calgary on Thursday. That's their last game before
That's
the
last
deadline.
game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's right. They're on a Florida trip, so all the Canadian teams are on the road. So I'll be kind of monitoring it from home. But
they're all on the road.
I
still
believe
weird.
so. I was checking. I think Winnipeg's on the road. I think Vancouver plays on the Wednesday night or the Tuesday night, or just before the deadline, and then in Seattle and come home because we were trying to figure out a game plan. And then the best game plan turned out to be just sit at home.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Whiteclaw. There's always someone looking to ride the next wave. They're here for the ones who make their own. Whiteclaw, the difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Derek Van Diest, Tom Gazzola with you here. If you're the Flames, do you still stick on to Markstrom? Or do you try to make the move before Friday? Or do you try to do it at the draft?
Get him out.
I don't know.
Right away or
Why get him out?
draft?
Like, he's got 2 years left on his deal. Like, what's the rush to trade Markstrom?
I would...
Maximize the value.
So wouldn't you get
guess.
more value at the draft when there's maybe more teams potentially interested? In theory. Isn't that like usually the thing
could.
at the draft? There's more teams because...
You're
kind
on,
of
you're
everyone's
on
in
the
a
phone
blank-
this week. You're on the phone this
Yeah.
week, seeing if you can take a team and squeeze out an extra pick or an extra roster player or prospect. If you don't see what you like, then yeah, reset and go for it at the draft.
Well, he's not
That's fair.
happy. Did you see at the press conference he had the other day? We were ripped into management.
Yeah.
He said, I don't like the way they've handled things because they told him he was going to get traded. Well, I think that's what they would tell them. We're not going to trade you. And then Jersey came in hard, and they said, you know what? We may trade you to Jersey. We're just trying to get more out of them. And then they said, okay, well, we're not going to trade you.
We want to keep you. You're doing well. We're going to keep you.
We're going to keep you because somehow they thought, okay, maybe we can sneak into the playoffs here.
Nope.
Jersey's out. Like they wanted Markstrom, they've fallen out of the playoff race, and what's the point now? You get a guy in the summer now.
Well, I guess the point would be make sure no one else snags him. Get him now. Maybe you get a push for the playoffs this year, but if not, you have him for next year, and you could already get him used to the surroundings.
The Jersey reminds me of the Oilers back in 2006 when everyone knew they needed a goalie. Get a goalie, you'll have a better team, you'll make the playoffs, and they just drag their feet, try to play hardball. Sometimes when you need a position and everyone in the league knows you need that position, you have to overpay, and they just refuse to overpay. Now look what happened. They've dropped out of the playoffs. They fired their coach. You look at that lineup. How many first overall picks they got on that team?
Quite a few.
You know, like
Quite a
it's
few.
like, what are you doing? That's going to cost the general manager his job. It's
Well,
just,
what did Tom Fitzgerald? He put out a statement today. He's not shopping Tyler Toffoli. Eric was
Correct.
talking about it on
Craig
the
Wyshynski
Nielsen
had that
show.
one.
And Wish had that, and So yesterday he fires Lindy Ruff.
Yeah.
Just signed him to an extension in the offseason.
Here's the thing, though: is I could sit there as a GM and say I'm not shopping someone.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean people aren't calling me and
Right.
I'm talking to them about it, right?
Well-
Like that. It's very easy to be like, yeah, no, I'm not shopping a single one of my players. But if you call, I
taking
will
that
gladly
call.
have that conversation.
Exactly.
well, he lost that trade. Look what Serangovic is doing in Calgary. Like this guy was a
22 goals now.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad.
You traded a younger, better version of Tyler Toffoli for Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah.
What are you doing, right? Like you
But
look
this
at
was the year that they were supposed to jump up.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they were
This
supposed to
was
be
the
contenders.
top team in the Eastern Conference.
You know,
with
ask
no
Amanda
goaltending.
Stein. She would have told you. They're going to the Cup. She was
Well-
having her ring measured and everything.
She was paid for that.
Sorry, should we call her the female Bob Stauffer, Anna Stein in New Jersey? Lovely girl. She's really in tune with the.
She's dialed in.
But she's dialed in. She's really good. with the team,
Intense.
but she
Cares
is-
about the team.
Yes.
She cares so much. She's all upset when they lose.
Yeah.
She's really happy when they win. And
Yeah.
it's almost like, and Bob, he's
Bob's the
referring to
same way.
himself as we now. And I'm like, I asked him the other
Has
day.
he dropped Wheeze?
He all the day.
Oh,
he was
that's the
weeing,
bane
he
of
was
my
weeing
existence.
all the other day. It's like, Bob, sorry, what number you wearing? And then he comes to me and goes, hey, be nice to me. We're paying your salary. Hey, like, you're not paying anything, Bob. All the teams pay for NHL.com.
No.
It's like, okay.
I like that.
He
Whatever.
does. That's
Somehow
funny.
I'm below him on the pecking order.
Well, that's hilarious. But we had Amanda on the pregame show earlier this year.
No,
she's great.
And she's in tune.
She's awesome.
She knows everything that's going
Yeah.
on with that team.
Will she go out there and rip Tom Fitzgerald for not making a trade like Stoff did last year?
No, she doesn't bite down
No,
their feet.
no, she doesn't.
She's smarter than that.
She wants
Stoff
to keep
last
her
year
line
had
of
the
communication
epic-
open.
Well, because
And then-
he's protected. He's
Yeah.
protected from high above. And, right? Because what other person could rip the GM like that and still have their
Fans loved it. Fans absolutely loved that.
He was-
last
I know
year.
who
He
didn't
spoke
love
for
it,
the
and it was
fans.
costly.
Yeah,
but I'll
but
just leave it at that.
the fans loved it, and he spoke for the fans on that day.
Wow.
In the Nasty Chat, a couple comments.
I believe that was Jack Michael's 1,000th game. It was a big night.
That's what happened. I remember. That's why he was upset.
You didn't know this?
I
That's
forgot
when he
about
was
that. No, I
upset,
forgot about
and we
that.
were going to make fun of him, and then he had this look like, don't say a word to me. I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Remember we were talking about that?
Yeah, he was mad.
So they did a big tribute for Jack Michaels for his 1,000th game on TV, or 1,000th game with the Oilers, right? Bob is already into like
He's like at 1,500, something like that.
Bob was there, and no one did any tribute to Bob, and so he was really upset when he went to do his. And then he walks by, like so early, walks by, and I swear to God, I was gonna take a shot at him, ask him about when his tribute was coming, but he had this eye of the tiger look in his eye. And I think, were you standing beside me? Like somebody was standing beside
yeah.
me.
Jumped
it was
on you and
it was
just beating you.
Oh,
Leave him
sometimes you know when to leave it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you know when to needle. Sometimes you know when to leave it.
That one was-
And that was
nope.
like, okay, I'm gonna leave
him
that
alone.
one because he is fired up. And then he went on the panel, and that's what happened.
I forgot that part of the story.
That's
Hernan,
why this poor story was.
Hernan sent me the video of it. I'm listening. I'm like, oh my God. And then the next intermission, Bob comes up to me, and I'm just staying out of it. And I'm like, Robert. And he goes, I really did it this time.
You get fired
I'm
up.
like, I heard. He goes, well, We'll see how it goes. I'm like, good luck, pal.
Well, that's the thing. You shouldn't go on TV fired up. You shouldn't write when you're fired up. I learned that lesson too. Like, don't.
You should go on radio fired up. I will tell you
Radio
that.
Fired Up is
It's
good.
great.
It's good stuff, but then you might say something you regret.
Yeah, you just have to be a pro with that.
But I remember that's what I was upsetting him.
Yeah.
Is the fact that and Jack deserved a tribute. He's done a fantastic job when he's come in here.
But give
he's got
Bob
of the-
one too.
It's the.
They should have, and whoever
Yes.
didn't, I don't know who's in charge of that.
I don't know how you keep track of that sometimes. Like,
I
it's
don't
got to
know.
be.
Well, Bob
hard.
is a wizard with
Bob
numbers.
would have
I'm sure
told
he
a
knows
lot
how
of
many
people,
games
Hey, this
he's
is my
done.
1000th game. This is
Yeah.
my 1000th game. Trust me, if he gets to 1500 or wherever he is now,
He deserves it. Like, that's,
he'll be
that's
telling
longevity.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
A couple texts in the nasty chat. Speaking of Hernan Salas, he goes, "The boys." So,
Hey.
and
Latino eat.
also, good morning, boys. Tuning in from Waikiki, and it's my folks. So
Hey.
they're now in Hawaii,
Nice.
so
It's
we can
minus
pin
20
that on the map.
Minus 20 and
for my
snowing
folks.
here. Awesome.
it.
In March.
So they left yesterday,
awesome.
so they cut away at
Good time to
Lucky.
leave.
the perfect time. But we actually get some nice weather coming up
Well,
here.
probably
Plus, thanks
March.
for tuning in
Plus
out
2
in
Friday.
Hawaii.
In
Plus
March,
2 Friday.
in March, you probably get a good deal. It's not like you're going in the middle of January, right? So in March, you probably get a good deals to Hawaii and stuff like that. So
I've never
nice. I've never been. I have to go.
Same. I've never been to Hawaii either.
No, I'd like to go.
Plus 2 on Friday. Plus 2 on Friday. Plus 2 on Friday.
Well, just get past this and let's get on to
Well,
this.
we're the way
back
up.
to spring.
So minus 15 today for the high. Wednesday minus 13, and then we're about 0 for like a week.
Yeah,
At
and
least.
then
So
once
it
the
should
snow all
be.
melts, and then let's start spring, and then we're gonna get the big snowstorm.
This is
April.
it.
You're gonna
I
get
think
the
this
big
was
snow.
it.
This is
There's
it.
always an April or
We're
May
getting the kick in the
snowstorm.
nuts right now.
I think we had a good year this year.
We had a
I'm
great
holding-
year. We
That's
can't
why I'm
complain.
holding out hope.
We can't
that it's-
complain. Even
we're not
Connor
gonna get
McDavid said that. Because I jinxed it because I said to someone, I felt like we didn't even have winter this year.
We
So,
still haven't.
Blame Connor McDavid.
This is winter.
So
This was nothing.
this is 4
This
days.
was like
we
5
hit minus
days of it.
50 for a
Yeah.
week.
I know
we had
that's the thing.
we
Like,
had one
this was
cold
like
spell.
minus 18, minus 17.
Yeah.
All that. It's not even that bad.
Yeah.
No,
We had
but it's a
one
pain in
really
the
bad
ass.
cold spell in the
Yeah.
middle.
2.
Was it 2? I
This
remember.
one, this counts.
This isn't a
This
cold
isn't a
spell.
This is minus 20. That's
We never hit extreme cold warning.
like yeah.
We didn't even come
minus
close.
35.
The highs
whatever.
weren't minus 25 or whatever. It's minus 18, minus 17. It's nothing.
I think when I was
Minus
a kid,
15.
the cutoff was minus 35. If they said it was 36, we wouldn't go to school.
You guys were cut from a different cloth back then.
We just didn't. It wasn't worth the risk of freezing. We had to walk to school. It's not like
I
now
walked to school.
where everyone gets driven and dropped off at the front door.
I had to take
walked.
yellow
Back in
school
my
bus.
day, we were either taking the ETS transit or we
I
were
took
walking to school.
ETS.
I had to take the yellow school bus.
Right?
I had to take
My school,
yellow
but my school's
bus.
away from my house. I couldn't
there you
walk
go.
it.
Well, but now, God forbid, now a 14-year-old gets on a school bus or gets on a regular bus to go to school. No, everyone gets driven to school, gets picked up from school.
I love the bus ride home with all your friends or something. It was great.
The bus ride, but now we can't. Like anyway,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't have kids, so I tell other people how to raise theirs. Speaking of my son, my sister's little boy, he's playing his first full ice game today. So I got
No
to
way.
take him. Yeah, he's so
Emerson.
excited. Emerson's playing. He's playing.
Excellent.
He's 9 years old. He's playing half ice, but today they're playing I really like the way they did it. So back in my day, at 9 years old, you'd be playing full ice already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But they've kind of kept those kids playing half ice 4-on-4. Get a lot of touches on the puck. They get a lot of.
Is it because of that, or is it because there's no rink availability?
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's probably a little bit of both.
Rink availability has
Like
become
population
a big issue,
boom
yeah.
and stuff. There's a lot of kids, and there's just not enough ice.
Not enough ice, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but now they're gonna play full ice, and he's pretty excited. So it's like we get to watch his first full ice game, and I have to take him because the game's at 5. So like his dad works till 5:30, his mom works till 6. So I get to take him. I'm pretty excited about that.
Are you taking him to Elks games this year?
I am.
Excellent.
We're going to a lot. He loves the Elks game. We were talking about that the other day. So
It's excellent.
the Elks have to. This is to me. They have to appeal to that younger generation.
Totally.
Right? But at the same time, you can't upset your season ticket holder base, which is an older generation. So it's a tricky game there, right? Like the older generation has a way that they want to watch football, and then you have to make presentations for the younger generation. I think they tried it a few years ago with all those concerts, but they were taking money
Yeah.
away from football ops for the concerts.
Well, and bringing Flow Rider is great for bringing the crowd in for that game. But what's the retention?
Remember they brought in Shannon Sharp?
Yes, to do the coin toss. And it was
like
like
Roman
it was like
Reigns?
5 figures for Shannon Sharp
Yeah,
too,
it
I
was
believe.
dumb.
It's crazy.
And all they did was the coin toss.
Yeah.
Like it, I get what they were trying to do with the concerts, but you can't rob Peter to pay Paul. Like you have to figure out a happy medium. But anyway,
They're working on
He
that.
loves going. He knows nothing about football. He's starting to understand it a little bit more. He just wants to go have fun, eat a hot dog, eat popcorn, have a pop, catch a football.
Do you tell him that back in high school you used to be able to throw a football a quarter mile?
No, he'll find that out eventually.
Okay. You got some old VHSs,
You got
don't
some
you?
old- I do have some old VHSs. I just don't have a VHS machine anymore.
I've got like 3 of them.
Do you?
Or 2 or 3.
You know what I need is I need a VHS to DVD, but then even DVDs are outdated now. Like no
No,
one
they're
has,
not. All video game machines basically
Yeah,
play
they're
them. No.
Blu-rays now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, forget Uncle Derek. Uncle Rico should be your nickname.
Rico should be my nickname, yeah. But I'll tell. Actually, my sister doesn't want him to play football, so that's gonna be
But
a fight.
DVD's
But we'll
going to
see.
be bringing Emerson on it's our seats this year.
Yes, I'm gonna split seats with Tom this year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're jumping in on those seats.
Yeah, my dad's like, why do you have 4? I'm like, because I want to support the team.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you can't always get 4 guys out.
Yeah.
And I was like, you watch me. I will.
You will, but no, I think it's.
Oh, those were your seats? I thought they were family split seats.
No, that I own them.
Oh, nice.
My dad, for a while, I owed my dad money, and I would just give him seats for every year. And then I made good on my debt, and then I was just like, "Do you want in?" He's like, "I'll buy my seat for."
The beauty of being NHL.com now is that I'm just focused on NHL.
So summer comes, yeah.
Summer comes, and I can enjoy the baseball team, which I love going to that baseball. I can enjoy the basketball team. I love going to
Yes.
the basketball game.
Yeah,
I can
those are
enjoy
great.
the football team. So I can do those things because before you're always working these events. You're always
Yeah.
going there as a journalist and working them. But I do have that with NHL still. But I can
It's fun to
enjoy-
go.
It's fun to go to these other games as well.
Well, for the Elks, like I've been doing pre and post for so many years, and last year's the first time in
You came to a
like,
couple. You sat with
almost
us.
a decade. I
Yeah.
could go and just enjoy the
Yeah,
games
it just
in
enjoy
the
it,
seats, and
yeah.
it was wonderful.
You're like,
Yeah.
This year I'm back to doing pre and post,
Yeah.
which I'm very excited about.
But
it was nice to get back there as just a fan.
Yeah,
And we have good
it's a
plans for it.
fun atmosphere. Well, like I said, I grew up loving the CFL. So
Well, and the atmosphere is going to be interesting because we had Scout from the Elks Elks Call, a podcast around the Elks, and a friend of EST, and he was on a couple weeks ago, and he threw out like, he thinks they'll average like 26,000, and I was thinking like, if this team could actually get 24 to 26,000 people through the gates into their seats, there's only 31,000 in the lower bowl. That's
Yeah.
going to create a nice atmosphere out
it'll
there.
Yeah.
create a nice atmosphere.
It will
yeah.
feel really
The-
nice
the
if
only-
you get there
the
and you
only-
could pull that many people into Commonwealth.
Yeah.
yeah,
The only concern I have is, we saw that at the Heritage Classic. Like the stadium, the concourse isn't wide enough for the number of seats.
built for 48,000,
Yeah.
as
Yes.
Evan Dom reminds
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. So I would be of the opinion that you would go to that stadium and put a bomb in the middle of that stadium, blow it up, and then start all over
On the same site.
on the same side.
Yeah, because you have the locker room, you have the community rec center, you have the field house, you've got the practice turf. Apparently, that's being renewed because they need to renew it. The turf in the stadium apparently has a couple years left in it.
So-
They
but
did
I think-
did an audit on it, and they have a couple more years with the turf.
So I think the
Yeah.
problem is like
You
you,
don't
keep
like that.
rebuilding on this stadium. Like you'd be better off just let's go something state of the art here. Like it's gonna be. The city is
What are you
growing.
getting
We're
upset
doubling
about?
It's not
population.
getting. This is.
It's the stadium is like what 1977.
78.
Yeah.
Well, it was built for the 78, but it was like
So 76 or something,
Yeah.
75 maybe.
like
So it's almost 50.
that's a 50-year-old stadium. I think time to blow it up. Blow it up. Like the old John Candy. Remember the John Candy and
Yeah,
blew it
right
up.
in my wheelhouse.
John. Oh, you remember Saturday Night?
78 did open actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. SCTV when they had those two rednecks and they she blew it up real good.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That's a funny one.
That is a funny. One.
No, I go back and forth with what I believe on this because for the franchise,
Yeah.
yes, a 40,000 seat stadium, which
Thank
you
you.
would prefer,
Thank you, 40,000.
would be great.
Yes.
A 30 to 40,000 seat stadium.
40,000. We're a big
For-
city, big event city.
But I think you need bigger for those big events.
I know.
I think if you want to have T Swift come through town,
Holla.
if you want Metallica coming in for their 2 shows in August, I think you need to be larger than 40,000 seats.
I agree.
But there's no reason to build that again.
I know.
And that's where I struggle with this, that I would rather hold on to Commonwealth and just renovate it because it's got the 56,000 seats already in it, as opposed to, like, would we build as a city a 55,000 seat retractable roof stadium?
Well, yeah, we need a retractable roof.
Because if it gets that, and at the very least, if you have a retractable roof on
You
something,
can use it all year.
You could then bring those concerts or whatever events
Yes.
all year.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
could
yeah,
bring
yeah, yeah.
conventions there if you want on that field. Like
Right.
there's a lot you could bring Monster Jam in February.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you've got it domed, and then the summer you could open up. But
Well,
also,
even
no
look
one's
at
going to
that-
pay for that.
But look at that state. Well, this province doesn't pay for anything.
That's the biggest thing. No one's going to pay for.
they
There's no
haven't-
private money coming for that. There's no public money coming for that. So
Wait
we're
a
in this.
second.
They haven't built a hospital here in 40 years. I think
They're building one.
No, they closed. They've stopped that again. In South
stopped-
Edmonton,
What?
it's not happening.
It's
right
not
now.
happening.
Oh my god.
Calgary's going to get a new hockey rink before Edmonton gets another hospital.
Yeah.
And we haven't had a hospital, as you said, for a very, very long
Like Grey
time.
Nuns,
Is the- is
Grey
the-
Nuns was the last hospital.
That was like
I was
91.
shocked when I heard that. I was like, oh my god, that's right.
How's the Misericordia doing? Like, didn't it need like
So
It needs some. It needs
tens
some work.
of millions?
I spent a couple of days in there this summer, and yeah, it needs some work.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
It's there. It's operational.
Okay.
these
But we could
hospitals
use
need
another
work.
one.
We could use another one.
Maybe a
they
nice
said,
state-of-the-art.
With the population growth of the city,
Yep.
you
We're gonna
could
be at
use
2 million
maybe,
in 10 years.
Maybe a couple of hospitals would help. But hey, Calgary needs an arena. The funny thing about the Calgary arena is that now the OAG is going, oh, so we're gonna get money too then for the ice district, right? Like,
Hey.
that's funny. But I was talking to someone in Calgary. They have plans. They're going to start digging, whatever. I'd be like, I would not put a shovel in the ground until that money is in your hand. Because as we've seen, they've pulled the plug on this, pulled the plug on this, pulled the plug on this. I'm not saying, I'm just saying,
There's too many. There's too many donors in Calgary for them to pull that money.
maybe.
Edmonton, they could pull all the money they want because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They don't got votes here right now.
No.
Calgary, they need those votes. And even though another election's not for 4 years, they need those votes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But I think that's the problem. There's not enough infrastructure investments in this province. The roads are falling apart, right? Like, that's just what happens.
Well, that's true. And,
At least
but
the
then-
yellowhead's being
And that's the
fixed.
problem. And that's where you go with, for Commonwealth, like, I don't know how. This is why FIFA was so important. Getting the
Yes.
World Cup for
Well,
Commonwealth
I
was
think-
so important
yeah.
because there would have been an investment put into Commonwealth.
Yeah.
And now that that doesn't happen, it's where do we fix Commonwealth? How? Like, how is this money going to come to fix this?
Right.
Because it's not coming public money. The city can't afford to do it. Like,
No.
property taxes are skyrocketing up again. Can't go to the city and be like, you don't know something? We're going to spend $250 million on a stadium. Excuse me? Like, there's not going to be a lot of people happy with that one.
250. That's like half a stadium now.
Well, the thing is, the FIFA thing is that they came in and made all these ridiculous demands, knowing that, you know,
That's so
they
frustrating.
they didn't want Edmonton. They had SoFi. They had these other great stadiums. They've seen the stadium in Atlanta, for crying out loud, and that retractable roof.
That thing's a
That's unbelievable. SoFi. They have all these other, you know, they have Texas Stadium. So they have all these great facilities, and they come here to the Commonwealth, which has been, you know, renovated over and over and over and over and over again. And they're like, okay, this is what we need from you guys, and it was a ridiculous ask. They wanted a tunnel, I think, from underneath one side of the stands to the other, so the
what?
so the executives or whatever the big
Didn't have to go
wigs
see people?
didn't have to go through the crowd to get to the stadium. So they wanted some sort of tunnel from their private boxes down onto field level or something like that.
Oh, my God.
Like, and they were gonna have to put not cover the whole stadium, but they were gonna have to put a roof covering the fans.
Probably where the lights are.
Yeah.
Kind of just cover that in.
Covering the fans. So there was a lot of,
Yeah.
like I said, they were better off just flamethrowing that thing and building it again. Like you can't, you just can't keep piling on. And you could build a really like nice, you know, whatever, like the facility they have in Winnipeg, the facility they have in Saskatchewan. Like
Those are nice.
Those are
Which
nice
have
stadiums.
brought in some decent shows themselves.
Yeah.
So
You just
if you
juice it
have
up a
that,
bit.
could you? Like, to me, it has to be expandable. I'd love, like, because I think the Edmonton could still get 50 plus for a
Yeah.
Grey Cup.
Yeah.
So if you have the ability to
Hell
put
You
some
have the
spot-
ability to expand, but I do think you need a roof on it. I do think you need. It doesn't have to. I don't. Get,
It
It needs to be rich.
It
I will
should be.
not. I would rather have open stadium as opposed to a roof, because there's nothing like going to a football game in the open air.
No, it's true.
Yeah, no.
To
Yeah,
have
you
it
need
closed
you need-
in
yeah.
would just suck.
Closed in the summer would suck, especially
there
in
has to-
Edmonton.
I
it
would
has to be
rather
some
see
sort of
that money.
retractable.
Yeah,
but
I'd rather see that
if you
money.
can't have retractable roof, you can use that thing all year. Like high school football can play there, soccer can play there. You can have so many things.
You could
Vanier
probably-
cups here. Like it just.
You could
my
go
God.
put a bunch of like basketball courts in there if
Yeah,
you wanted.
you can have
and,
so
and
much-
have like a big jamboree of that
huge,
stuff if you
massive
wanted
tournament. Like it just. There's so many things you could do.
Yep.
But you know, you need vision. You need vision, and you need to see it. And right now, they have other concerns, I guess.
In the nasty chat, Jason Strudwick hockey camps. Hi, first time, long time. Why does Tom look like he's riding a Harley? Just
You're riding a Harley.
Did Struddy literally text that in?
Ready?
yeah.
Why does it look like I'm riding a Harley?
Also, Jason Strudwick's 2024 D-Man camps. They're live for registration. I'm just pulling up
Hi,
the image
Struds.
here.
Good morning.
What do we got here? Struds, where do they register? JasonStrudwick.com for more camp info and registration. So if you're looking to have someone coach a defenseman, Jason Strudwick is the guy. JasonStrudwick.com, U7 to U18. He's got a spring camp coming up in April. He's got a July General Skills D-Man camp in July, obviously. Northside Summer Camp in August, and a Southside Camp in August as well. But there's a spring camp coming up 2 days in April. JasonStrudwick.com.
I miss Struddy.
Well, I love Struddy. Everyone loves Struddy.
Great man.
Speaking of
Great
defensemen,
family.
Chris Pronger caught up to him.
Oh,
last
yeah,
couple
you hung
days.
out with him yesterday.
Hung out with Chris Pronger yesterday and his brother Sean. I'd never met Sean before.
Yeah.
He'd never come our ways, which is kind of weird because he played in Anaheim, so you think he would have crossed
And
paths.
Vancouver.
And Vancouver.
Yeah.
So you
He
think
wrote a book with Murph.
Somehow we would have crossed paths.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we never did, but I met him. And Chris Pronger was here in town, and it was good. It was good catching up to him.
Well, the guy that for the 6 o'clocker loggers, it would have been Scott Laurie, I think.
Was it Scott?
Because
down there at
Scott
Sobeys?
messaged me going, fellas, get DVD at 6 o'clocker logger. I was sold out yesterday in
Okay,
Newcastle.
so it was Scott.
Oh, you
There
talked
go.
to Redbeard.
It was with Redbeard.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want it? We have
we've got-
some.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we'll grab. No, because I was there. Because what happened was I talked to Chris at the game.
Yeah.
and he was great. We went and we had a long chat, and he was telling me all about his whiskey, and I'm doing a signing tomorrow. I was like, great. So he's not in hockey anymore. He said he's done with hockey for now. He's doing this thing with his brother, and he's got a travel agency with his wife, and he's doing some speaking engagements as well. So that's kind of what he's doing now. So he's away from the game, and then so I wrote this piece on him. It'll run next week on NHL.com, and then they said, hey, maybe we need to use a picture. So I was like, okay, I'll go down there and take a picture of the two of them. And then we just continue talking. The thing is, Chris, like, we were talking about media back in 2006,
Yeah.
right? Chris and I got along. Like, we got along really well. And that was a time where myself and Rob Tchaikovsky and Joanne Ireland and Jim Matheson were traveling with the team, right? It was kind of a combination
big
of
group.
it was a big
Brownlee
group.
was there too, right?
He was, yes.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
for that. Yeah. So he was traveling as well. So we got to kind of know him, got the, and he was difficult to deal with at times. I'll just say that. At times he was
I wasn't
difficult to
there.
deal with. But for the most part, I think all has been forgotten now. He comes to Edmonton, people want to take pictures of him. Right? It's
He was
all-
really, 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 really good.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable.
He was a big reason, a very big reason, no pun intended on that one, of why the Oilers got to a Stanley Cup final
one
and
of
got
the
to Game
biggest- He was a
7.
one superstar in a team full of non-superstars.
Stars.
In the end, if everything doesn't happen, you don't get Connor McDavid, like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
type
Oh,
things,
no, for
right?
sure,
Like,
yeah.
And the Oilers are back to being good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the Oilers were still crappy, I think there'd be still a lot more hate towards
Yeah,
them.
maybe.
It's like, now they haven't won the Oilers, but Bill Buckner was able to go back to Fenway once they won a World Series.
Yeah.
And then he got the full cheer. Steve Bartman was invited back. He didn't go, but he's invited back after the Cubbies were in the World Series because now it's like, okay, all kind of is
All
forgiven
forgotten,
type
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it is with.
But I remember that first game back, Tom. That the vitriol that was in
Yep.
that
Yeah.
arena.
Oilers put that on pay-per-view too.
Like
Yeah.
it was like, oh my God, fans! Like he didn't murder someone.
Well,
he just
but-
wanted out of town.
He also didn't help himself because he went on Jim Rome and said they burned my baby's crib.
Did he actually, or was that something that
He said that.
he said that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
And so now, like, you've pissed off this fan base by requesting a trade, leaving, and then you threw some gas on that fire.
Yeah.
So I understood.
So his baby's crib
Also-
was not burnt.
No.
Who would do that?
And also,
Well, who would drop a load of manure on a kicker's?
that's a very
People
fair
in
point. too.
Saskatchewan.
Yes.
You know what? They're not a lot different from Saskatchewan here. To
No.
be honest. They're not. So,
yeah.
like there's always some idiot that does something like that, right? So it's like,
I also think Kevin Lowe should have held on and not traded him right away.
well, you know what happened was he asked for the trade midway through this.
Yeah, but you could have. He's not a contract. You could have held on.
Yeah,
to
but
that
then you
too.
have a disgruntled player.
Yeah.
He was disgruntled in the room. Everything's disgruntled. You don't want a guy that doesn't want to play for you. In my opinion. You want
Till
guys,
I get that right deal.
Hey,
Don't play them.
you trade guys that do want to play for you. How many times have we traded a guy that wants to be here, right? Guys crying on the way out the door.
Yes.
Right. So don't you give me this. The player should be loyal or whatever when GM and
No.
team
I don't.
isn't
Well,
loyal.
they're
I'm
talking
with you,
about Crosby
but I'll
versus
say this, but as a
99% of the
GM,
league.
also, I'm going to do what I think is best. And I will make this trade, but when I get full value for what I think is
Yeah.
best value, and if I'm not going to rush that trade, and if I don't have a trade by training camp, you better be here, you better be playing. I'm working on it, but I need to get
But that didn't
proper
work.
value.
Well,
for
how did
Chris
that work
Pronger.
out with Sheldon Surrey? Right.
That did not
the
go well.
exact same thing with Sheldon Surrey. You
that
got
was
a
not
contract,
good.
you got to play here.
But what,
and that
Pronger had a 5-year
deteriorated
deal
so
or a
fast.
4-year deal?
Five
Five?
years, like
So you had
6.
4 more years left.
Yeah.
Like it's you got to come show up and keep playing.
5 and
I
6.
want to get that right value for you. Like I think they could have held on and got maybe a little bit
Well,
more.
I think he wanted it out mid-season, and they said just hold on. Then they realized what they were, and like they had made, for by the sounds of it, they had made promises to him. Okay, you don't like it here. Your wife doesn't like it here. You know, whatever it is. Like you have, hey, happy wife, happy life. Isn't that what they say?
I don't know. I'm not married.
I don't know.
No, but sorry.
The happy girlfriend doesn't.
People are
rhyme,
like,
but,
"Why do you
right.
look so young?" I'm like, "I never got married. I don't have kids."
Yeah. But that, right? Like, so if his wife is on him every day, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate it here. Eventually, he's like, I gotta go. Like, how many guys have gone to GMs in the past and say, my wife doesn't like it here, I gotta go.
Plenty, probably.
I bet you it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
But when it's the stature Chris Pronger, you want that proper value for him.
That's on Kevin Lowe to make the proper deal.
And that's where I feel like that there wasn't enough value. Could have waited, potentially. But who knows? But again, if that whatever happens,
Exactly, butterfly.
Changes.
Yeah.
What if there's no Connor
wouldn't be
McDavid?
No Connor
Right.
McDavid
Absolutely.
here, right? Like the way the balls fall.
Strutty does say it is the real one. Who would create a D-man camp to pretend to be me? And he
There's a
says,
lot of sickos
don't
out there.
be
Struts.
grumpy, Tom. He also
I'm not
adds.
grumpy.
And then Quinn saying, don't forget our reality, smoke, retractable roof. Being able to play sports in the summer no matter what when
Yeah.
it comes to a facility.
I agree.
And that, you
Retractable
would need
roof.
that. You would
You
have
gotta
to.
do the retractable roof. Like
The one that's
and there's
small
ways
part.
to do it now. Like it doesn't have to be like
Yeah.
you look at the way they do it in Seattle, where the roof just rolls in, rolls out. Like there's ways to do it to make it effective. Like it's
Yeah.
just and the technology has come so far since the Sky Dome days. Like that's another
Oh,
place that I think
that-
instead of dropping all that money on Sky Dome to make it a baseball only facility, why don't they just blow it up and make a baseball only facility?
I think that's the eventual plan, but till then they're making it baseball
But that's a
friendly.
long plan then because they
Yeah.
pumped a
They've
bunch of money
pumped
right now.
So
Yeah.
much
Like
money
this
into that
recent
place.
renovation that they're doing over the next
It's like a
these
quarter
years.
of a zillion.
Yeah.
If they would have blown it up and then just built a
that
super
thing-
nice stadium there.
That thing has like connections to the train system and
No, I
this
said
and
yeah.
that.
They sent it into the train system. They got a
Yeah.
hotel attached to it. There's a
Yeah.
lot, but
It looked like that was an amazing thing when it opened. Look how amazing this
Yeah.
looks, but it didn't age well.
In like 5 years, it was like
It's already looks. It just
Yeah.
looks bad.
Yeah.
Like Rogers Place looks like that's going to age well.
I think so.
20 years from now, we're going to look at it and be like, it still looks nice. I remember there was one Calgary project, Calgary Next, I think it was, which was the rink with the football stadium and
Yeah, they were-
and I remember seeing the renderings. I'm like, that's going to age very poorly.
Well, it was a box.
That's one that's going to look maybe kind of cool for a year or
Yeah.
two, and then we're going to sit there and look at it and be like, that is hideous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Rogers Center to me. It's just like,
well,
could have looked-
It was
you
built
could
at
do
a
better.
time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was built at a time where these owners thought, hey, if we can build one massive stadium, multi-sports facility, how awesome would that be? And so they were building these multi-sports facilities. And then I think it was the Baltimore Orioles said, you know what, screw this. We're going to build a nice, quaint park.
Old school
park with whatever it is, 40,000 people in.
Not even.
35,000. And we've been there.
Orioles?
It was beautiful.
Great. It's beautiful. And people said, yeah, I'd love to come to these opposed to these concrete monstrosities that have
Monoliths,
been
yeah.
built. This is a beautiful, quaint little baseball park. And then they started to go in that direction.
49 at Camden Yards.
Didn't
49,000?
seem that big.
lot of them
Through
are-
till 2010, then it dropped to 46,000, and now it's dropped to 45,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and the other thing too, Camden Yards, like when we went there, we did
Yeah.
that East Coast baseball trip.
Yeah.
We ran into Stubby
92.
Clapp. That was
Ran into
hilarious
Stubby
in Boston.
Clapp in Boston.
But you realize because in '94 when it was built, Camden Yards, like we had really good seats
Yeah.
that day because it was kind of rainy and nobody was going, and then it turned out to be beautiful, and the seats were tight. Like they were small seats. I remember that. I'm like, ooh, these are. And we were in Philly before that, Boston, where they had renovated. We were at Yankee Stadium. We were at Citi Field in New York, and we get to Camden Yards, and you're like, oh, this is such a nice ballpark. You see the big factory, which is all owned by the team and part of the ballpark now out in right field. But then the seats were tight, and you're like, oh, the 90s. And you realize how fat people have gotten. Straight up. And that's probably part of why the number of seats is decreasing. Sure, like suites and stuff like that, Maddie, but when they put in new seats,
well, that's why
they're
Commonwealth
like 2
is
inches.
less.
Yeah, that's right.
When Len Rhodes and the team put in the new seats,
They're bigger.
they were bigger.
Yeah.
And it brought down the capacity of the stadium.
People are fatter now. Straight up. That's it. Like everybody's fatter.
Is that the world or is that North America? I don't know.
I'll say North America.
I mean, I'll stick at least for sure with North America.
Definitely
We've
North
gotten a lot
America.
fatter.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the food.
Yeah. You go see some of the state fairs that they have in the States and some of the food that they're going with.
This is
it's like
pure sugar.
Cheese.
Yeah.
What are you eating? There's deep fried butter. I remember seeing that once. That's a big thing in Texas.
I saw that, the deep fried butter. I'm like, that's a heart attack waiting to happen. So
You can't maintain a
yeah,
European trim
but
fit
to me,
physique
yeah,
if
to
you get
me,
that.
it's better just instead of just trying to. I don't know what's the term, like just like it's instead of just trying to make things something old look better by renovating. I'm more of the opinion, blow it up, build it new, make it look nice, right? Make people want. No one says I'm going to go to Commonwealth Stadium because I like the facility. I want to see the facility. No one ever says that.
But there's also
But people
beauty.
do say that about Rogers Place.
Right,
I've never seen Rogers Place. I'd like to go to Rogers Place.
But there's also a beauty to an old place that it doesn't matter. You're there to watch football. You're not there to have the amenities. You're there to be a fan.
Yeah, I think that.
And you show up because that's what you're there for. And it's not about. It's if you talk to Eric about Saskatchewan, the Riders.
Yeah.
Old Mosaic was very rough.
I've played in a Mosaic. That
And
thing was concrete turf.
But you showed up for the game, and you were there to make noise. You were there to be loud. You were there for the team.
Yeah.
Now they've built new Mosaic with all the amenities, and it's almost like those people. It's like, please stay home. This is for the families and the people that want to get their wine over here and their food over here, and it's lost its atmosphere a little bit. And that's the thing where now Commonwealth doesn't have that atmosphere like the Riders used to have type thing right now.
I got a story
But that's
about
where it's like I could sit there and I go, I don't care sometimes if the place is dungy because that's not the Rose Bowl they've made nice, but Rose Bowl's really, it's not about the amenities. You go to the Rose Bowl to watch a football game.
Wow, that place is used what, twice?
Rose Bowl, yeah.
No,
They barely play there
UCLA
anymore.
Bruins play there. That's
Do they?
their home stadium.
Oh, I guess they do. Yeah.
So
they're-
who
Bruins play
plays
home
at
7 games.
Coliseum's USC.
Coliseum,
USC? That's
plays the
right.
Coliseum.
Okay, Trojans, yeah.
So one quick story about the old Mosaic Stadium. We were there. I was there with the Huskies, and we were in the dressing room, and the coach said, "No one take your helmet off ever on the sidelines for any reason." And we're like, "What?" Because never take your helmet off for any reason at all at this stadium. Keep your helmet on at all times. Okay. So I was like, didn't think anything of it. Sure enough, a guy takes his helmet off to grab a drink. A full beer. Where's this? A full beer. They were chucking full beers at the team. And he's like, whoa, like puts his helmet right back on. Like that was like, are you kidding
Well, those
me?
cans will fly further with this full liquid as opposed to not.
Exactly.
That's when they gave
I was
cans
like,
to fans
oh my
at stadium.
God, they gave
Well, they
cans
still
to
do.
fans. It was, but it was like, vroom, whizzing past. They were chucking full beers at the
Damn.
opposition. So that's a rule in Mosaic. I don't know if it's a new one now, but
Probably not.
Keep your helmet on at all times.
It's not as crazy anymore. So
Oh my
That's wild.
that person will get kicked out. I think more. That person's getting kicked out
Well,
a
I
lot
think
sooner
we probably
nowadays
should
than
have
there.
gotten kicked out,
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm
but I think there
we're
it was kind
gonna
of
start
just
a
been like,
brawl
yeah,
in
that's
the
cool.
stands.
But now it's
Throwing
like,
a
no,
full
you gotta
beer at
go.
the player. It's like-
Security. I
Well,
didn't
Lucas
say
got
anything.
told Eric's brother to sit down at a Labor Day game against the Bombers because Bombers fans behind him couldn't
Couldn't
see.
see.
And it's like, I'm a Rider fan, and they're Bombers fans, and we're worried about the Bomber fan here. Like, really?
It's a different world now, but that was funny back then.
This is the EST Hangout presented by Whiteclaw, Hard Seltzer, Matt Iwanyk, Derek Van Diest, Tom Gazzola with you here live on iHeartRadio, on TuneIn, on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as on YouTube for those watching us there. Tommy's back later tonight, 4 o'clock, Oil Stream pregame show as the Oilers are in Boston to take on those Bruins. And 11 o'clock, Lock Shop, 12 o'clock, two guys and a goalie with Cass, Gager, and Nilsson, as I'm sure Cass is going to brag about where he is in our F1 Fantasy League to start through the first week. But
Gager threatened me and called me a bunch of names full of expletives to join the league this year, and I just left.
Yeah,
it
why
on
wouldn't
the-
you why not just come
I
on?
hate fantasy. I can't
You could
get
join with your friends.
No, I love you guys, but I'm
Sure.
not gonna set my lineup in F1 every weekend. I'd rather just watch the damn race and be like, oh, that was a nice race. I watched the first 2 episodes of the new Drive to Survive season yesterday. Phenomenal start. Wow, Lawrence Stroll is, I already knew this, but incredibly arrogant. And they tried to like make him look like a nice, loving dad, but I'm like, this guy's a hard ass. Good for Lance doing what he did last season with the broken wrist, but man, and then the Daniel Ricciardo comeback story, I really enjoyed that, but no thank you, Joaquin.
I watched the first episode of that show. I just couldn't get into it.
How?
I'm
It's
not a huge
phenomenal.
F1. The
Yeah,
problem
but
I
that's
had-
how we all got into F1. It wasn't that serious.
Yes, no, I have to watch it. My nephew likes it. He watches it. My issue with F1 is that no one ever passes each other.
What?
At the top, at the head of the race. They're always like fighting for jockeying for 7th or 8th or 10th or 12th. Who cares?
Because Verstappen's
The guy
on the-
that,
'cause
the guy
Verstappen's
that
so good
starts
right
the
now.
race usually ends up winning the race unless something catastrophic happens. And I'm like,
Although next year that might not be the
yeah,
case.
you
if
want to
all of
watch
this
a
race
guy
happens.
just
Juicy.
whip around the track. Like if you have the best car, you're gonna win. I don't think there's a
No, you need the best driver too.
yeah, but I at that level, I don't think there's a big drop off between the best driver and the worst driver. You're talking
Verstappen's
about
changing that.
You're talking about
No,
the 20
I
greatest
think-
drivers in the world here.
I think
I
with
don't
like
think there's a huge drop.
Lewis and with what he did and where Max was 20 seconds faster than his teammate
Yeah,
this past weekend.
Yeah.
They have the same car,
yeah.
but he's 20 seconds faster.
Yeah.
And he's letting up
Yeah.
at times because he doesn't need to go as hard.
So,
So
He
like
is-
there are certain ones that are just more elevated.
I remember I had this argument. Remember who's the F1 driver that won Canadian Athlete of the Year?
Jacques Villeneuve.
Villeneuve?
No, was it Jacques?
He won the whatever it used to be the Lou Marsh Award, whatever.
Yeah,
I think he won
So
that.
He won because
Yeah.
he won the F1. I'm like, why? Because he had the fastest car? Like that's
He
a
beat
big
Michael
deal.
Schumacher. That's a big deal worldwide.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not it. Like, okay, athlete. So I was never a fan of that.
I think you and Steve Sandor will disagree on that one. I've
Well, I
had those
think we will.
chats with Sandor where it's like there wasn't enough of a deal made
Well,
about
that
Jacques Villeneuve winning.
That's fair.
He beat Larry Walker to win that award, and Larry Walker thought that was a joke. The guy was batting almost 400
because no
and
one
he
cares
didn't-
in baseball or no one cares in North America about F1,
Yeah.
but the rest of the world does. That was a big deal that Villeneuve won. 97, I think. it was.
Everyone, NASCAR and Indy.
He had the fastest car. He put his foot down on the pedal. What a hell of an athlete!
Gager
Oh my
is
God.
fuming right now, probably,
you
and
not-
is ready to
I'm
come in
probably
to
gonna go-
yell at
gonna
DVD.
punch
No,
him.
he's gonna need to teach you.
I'm one of the last few people that actually drive a standard vehicle, so I know what like the. I
That
get
does not give you the green light.
I know what
to
it's
rip
like to
on
be an
race
F1
car
driver.
No, I didn't
I
say
drive a
that.
standard
I'm just saying,
vehicle.
I
and
drive
can
a
appreciate the nuances at F1, but let's be honest, it's like the guy who puts his foot on the pedal.
No. Oh my
Apparently
god.
that pedal's really hard to push down too.
Yeah,
there's
the
like
brake
things like
pedal
it takes a lot of force to push on it.
Have you met these F1 drivers? They're all tiny little guys.
Not all of them. Not the IndyCar guys are itty bitty.
Yeah, F1. I don't think there's anyone that's taller, like 5'11".
Yeah, Yuki Tsunoda and that Nick DeVries were pretty small, but most of them are pretty average height. Some of them are taller.
I don't think you're gonna see I don't think there's a lot that are over 6 feet
Yeah.
because to fit in
But-
that car.
You
In
look at-
Indy, they were all like 5'6",
You run into an
5'5".
F1 driver, like, oh, like you're an athlete. It's like the cricket guy we ran into, greatest cricket player in the history of cricket.
Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the locker. Yeah, we ran into
he-
him. We were the greatest cricket player.
He
of
was
all time.
wearing old man slacks
We didn't
and
even
a
know who he was.
polo.
So you're saying you wouldn't know who like Max Verstappen is if you saw him?
No, I would not. Actually, to be honest,
But now the world would.
maybe.
Drives to Survive gave
Yeah.
North America the
It did.
door opening to
Maybe. I'll
love
have
it.
to
3
look.
races
And now he's
in the U.S. plus Montreal, Mexico.
Well, I did watch the Vegas race. I thought that was pretty cool.
And that was even a disaster.
And they
It was a
hated
disaster.
that
It was a
track.
disaster.
I was actually in Vegas. Well, I was there
Yeah.
with the Oilers.
We were there. Remember we were talking to the
we were
bartender?
that's right. We were talking.
Carla.
about it.
She was
Yeah.
super friendly and fun.
And did they just say what
They're
a
like,
disaster?
It was bad. Well, they overpriced everything, and then people
Yeah.
didn't pay the
What
prices.
is
And
it,
I remember one writer, Arash Marchese, he ended up walking into the Outback Steakhouse. It was dead, and he paid like $15, bought an onion bloom, and he was watching the race from there.
Nice.
Because there was no one else in there.
Yeah.
Because everyone just stayed away from Vegas.
Yeah, no, they stayed away from the strip because it was a crazy.
And it was so closed
just heard
off.
horror stories.
Yeah.
You couldn't
Yeah.
get anywhere. You couldn't drive anywhere.
One of the race,
They
when
had-
the
they
practice
can-
with
they
the
canceled
manhole
prac-
shooting
Oh,
up.
yeah.
They canceled the practice, and then they didn't give people their money back. It was just like,
Yeah. Whistle Dog texting in. I was in Europe a couple of months ago, and it was noticeable how few overweight people I saw.
Oh, but Quinn actually says, no world. Obesity is now more prevalent or prominent than starvation underweight. There's a study released recently. The number of obese people surpassed 1 billion recently. There's 550 million
1
suffering from
billion overweight people in the world?
that are considered obese in the world.
Out of, what are we at, 8 billion now?
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
Well,
But
One
it
in every
depends
8
how we value
it's funny
obesity
when-
because if you go with the BMI,
Yeah.
like it goes weight versus height type thing.
Okay.
It would say like a lot of hockey players are obese.
But that's muscle.
Well, that's the thing. It
Yeah.
doesn't fully take into account that, so I'd
Right.
be intrigued where that fully comes from. But yeah, no, there's a lot of obese.
Well, in Europe, it's funny because Europe, those fast food restaurants they're almost like they're more expensive than, like I remember walking into McDonald's and the burger was like $5. I was like a $5 burger, they're like 90 cents back home. Like but it's starting to go like the fast food industry is starting to kind of take over in Europe and things like that. That's what it is here. It's all the fast food. And no one walks anywhere. It's all roads.
I still like walking.
Right? I love walking.
Walking's
I
good.
live downtown.
We all walk.
I've
We all
never,
live downtown.
I've never taken a scooter.
Oh, you're missing out.
I would just
Those
walk.
are a lot of fun.
I will
Scooters are
just
fun.
walk.
But if you live downtown, yeah, you're still walking. We're still walking.
But we
everywhere.
go to football games,
Yeah.
hop on the scooter.
But you live in the suburbs. You can't go anywhere without jumping in your car.
That's too bad.
That's just the way it is right now.
Poorly planned.
Really quickly, this text comes in. You piss some people off with
did
your
it.
driving.
When my driving,
comment,
put
yeah.
the foot on the pedal.
Danica Smashika was awful. LOL. Will Buxton 2.0. That's a Drive to Survive a reference where they brought in Danica Patrick.
Was Will Buxton not on it?
He's in it.
Oh, is he? I
Yeah,
haven't
but they
watched.
brought in Danica for
I
it.
know that pissed people off.
I've watched a bit of it and she's okay. I need to watch the rest of the season to get a full gauge of it. So the text goes on to say, cars built around Max, impossible for people to drive other than Max. So, and it's, Joaquin talks about it, how touchy the front end is. Guys, hire me as your motorsports specialist. LOL. Let's put Gage in a race car. Holy crap. What is he talking about? Is he serious? This is
I've
towards
been in
you.
a race car, and I won the celebrity race in Medicine Hat.
Oh
once.
my God.
I did. You know
What
what,
kind
I
of
did?
race car?
It was
Go-kart.
a stock car. It was a mini stock
Yeah,
car.
yeah.
It wasn't. It was like a small. And they had about 6 of us, and you know how I won the race? I put my foot down on the pedal.
Oh my God. We got it right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Not only- not-
upsetting all these auto race people.
Not only are you someone who
point is-
declined BYU as the next starting quarterback,
I did not.
you were a race
I know.
car driver.
I wrote a story on that. It was hilarious, and it was a lot of fun. I get it was a lot of fun, but my point is that those guys are so good at what they do that to me, I don't think there's a big difference between the number 1 guy and the number 20 guy, unless you're buying your own ride, like we saw here at the Indy. Some guys are.
That Marty
That
something.
One guy, he was a rich billionaire, and he was somehow
Yeah,
he had his own car,
Yeah.
and he didn't have any sponsors,
and he was always 2 laps behind
yeah.
everyone.
Eventually, he's like, "You gotta get off the track, man. You gotta get somebody killed."
Dangerous.
And that Mexican driver, that Mexican driver,
Oh,
as well.
Brazilian.
Was she Brazilian or Mexican?
Yeah,
They're like,
she
"Get
got
off the
into
track."
it with her big thing was
She
her
got
and
into it with
Danica
Patrick because
Yeah,
Danica's
they had
like,
a
"Get
beef.
out of the way!" Like,
Yeah.
he's but I'm saying the elite of the elite. I don't think there's a lot of difference between.
But they run
and then
like
it's
30
all the
cars on an Indy car race, right? Like
There's more.
there's more traffic, yeah.
Yeah, there's more, but they should.
They
be
look
more-
weird.
I would do. You want to make F1 exciting?
It is
More
exciting.
It is
more
exciting.
appealing? You want to make it more appealing? More
Okay.
Okay. The guy that qualifies first should start at the back of the.
There's
grid,
been talk about that actually.
right, and then
There's been
make
talk
him pass
about
everybody.
with
Then they don't-
Was
what's
it
the
the
incentive
sprints
in
or something? I think in the
qualifying?
sprints you'd have to be at the back of the pack to. They had thrown that out there a little bit. The top drivers hate it.
Yeah, of course
Yeah,
they're gonna hate
of course.
it. But it's entertainment. It's entertainment. You want to see people pass. In Monaco,
Right, but why-
nobody passes anyone in Monaco. It's just a line of cars.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one is a
that's
bad
fair.
one.
Right?
But it's just historic. It's just historic.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't know. You're now punishing the best drivers
Yeah.
by saying you got to pass everyone
I'm just
again.
saying, I'd like to see it. I'd like
Maybe
to see
one
it.
race. Maybe
I'd
one
like,
race.
you know,
You like chaos.
I just like to see it. I'd like to see timed golf events.
Well,
you'll
but
have,
like-
an hour to finish your round. I want to see guys running up
That's
and down.
impossible.
It's. We saw Max a few times last year have to start low because of penalties and stuff, and he just zooms past everyone.
Exactly.
Like here's the thing: for you, Max would be at the top, at the front within 10 laps.
Well, that's what would make it exciting because he's got to pass all these cars.
And
but
he
he will.
that
does.
would make it exciting.
But he will.
Okay.
He's gone. He's that good.
You know, or like I don't know, just I know you can't do it because no one would. There'd be no incentive to qualify, or else pick names out of a hat. Say you start first, you start second, you start third, you start fourth. Let the best.
Soccer draws before every race.
That would be awesome.
Big pots.
They have the big pots and they get okay. Number one on the starting grid. Okay, this guy's like woohoo. Like
Don't they do that for horse racing?
no,
I don't know.
They
Well, you
draw
got to pick your spot. They draw for
They
which.
draw for which gate you
Yeah.
go.
Okay.
That would
They
be.
do.
I think I just reinvented F1.
They should do that every.
That would be awesome.
One race a year,
Haters,
that would be
man.
fun. One race a year,
If
that'd
you
be fun.
take a big bowl of names and then you have the starting positions and then you draw the starting positions,
Just like soccer.
and then you put them there,
like
and
it.
then oh my god, how exciting would that race be?
3-4 races a year. Do it that way.
How exciting would that be?
Just chaos
Because then if
races.
you have the car, then you're like, okay, I'm
wanna
gonna
know
have to pass 10 guys to win this race.
Do that at Monaco.
Yeah.
Force Max Verstappen to
no
start
one ever will
10.
pass anyone at
But
Monaco.
it's going to force some of those top drivers to try to find the pass.
Yes.
Because they don't want to finish 8th
Right.
or
Yeah.
9th, wherever they
Yes.
were drawn into.
Yeah.
And they're
the
better
starts
than the
with
guys
chaos.
in front of them, so
I
they'll
think
find ways
I
to
think I
win.
just fixed that.
I'm not
F1.
fully opposed to that one.
I think I fixed that.
Give this man $1 million contract
exactly Hey,
now.
I should send that in.
Please do.
780-218-9999
Great-
Paris
what a
Jewelers
great idea
inbox.
Brilliant.
That and make the hole bigger in the golf.
Jasmine also saying, make what?
Make the hole bigger in golf.
He doesn't even. He's had zero drinks today.
No.
He doesn't swing for the
Hold on.
fences when we have multiple
I played
beverages.
with a bigger hole.
You make a hole bigger and then you can get 100
Oh,
yards.
my God.
Boom, you can try and pop it in. That'd be awesome. Can you
No, it
imagine?
wouldn't.
That would be so awesome.
Why?
If you made the hole bigger, make it like a basketball rim.
I don't want it to be easier from the green to get it in.
No, but
so
then-
that when somebody does get in from 150 out, it's amazing because it's such a small hole and they did it.
I don't know. I
It's
think
great.
if you made the bigger hole bigger, it'd be more.
And then
exciting.
hole in ones don't become as important.
That's
That-
just
I
an
disagree
idea.
with that one.
I'm
I
just
disagree
thinking
on
out
that one.
loud.
What else, boy wonder?
Thinking out loud. You know how they have that soccer golf and they make the hole bigger? Just make that hole the
Oh
soccer
my
size.
goodness.
Jasmine saying, Maddie, Big Brother Canada starting tonight. Devote a 2-minute segment tomorrow about your thoughts. We have Murray McCourt. We have Jerry Montajong on tomorrow. I'll try to. I'll annoy them. And Tommy's here.
Big Brother
but I will
Canada.
I will try to find a couple minutes to talk about the start of Big Brother Canada tomorrow. Love Big Brother.
The only thing I comment on Big Brother, I was in the UK when I saw Big Brother UK, and they were dropping F-bombs all over the place.
UK TV's
Big
different.
Brother UK, I was like, oh, okay. I guess television is different here in the UK. Like, it's like...
They don't
It's
get
like,
as
I don't think
offended.
you're allowed to do that in North America. But they were just, oh my God, it was unbelievable. They were
I don't watch it.
MFing and dropping F-bombs and like,
Oh no! Everything that the UK does,
It's like-
reality-wise and things,
It's like-
it's turned up just a bit
Oh,
more,
it is.
and it's a lot more
It is.
entertaining.
I was like,
It's great.
You know what? I'll watch this if these guys are telling each other off. Like, so I'm just saying, I just saw the one episode of the UK version, completely different.
You can watch Big Brother Canada tonight, global.
Something else got to be going on. So there's hockey games
There's a
on today.
game. Pitbull Nasty reverse grid is hot garbage. Bring back refueling. Make it mandatory to run all 3 tires. So there's that too. Oilers pairings from Boston. McDavid between Draisaitl and Hyman. Nuge in between Kane and Yamark. McLeod centering Fogle and Perry, while Holloway's on the 4th line with Brown and Ryan. Gagne was the 13th. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, Kulak, CC. Skinner looks to be getting the start ahead of Pickard.
So they have done the reverse thing in F1. They have done the reverse starting grid.
I don't know.
I think drawing lots would be awesome.
You still
think
talking about F1 after
going
you
back
gave
to-
out the
I-
lines?
Well, no, because he was talking about that on the
Oh,
I like the drawing of the things.
drawing of the
Drawing
lots.
would be
I
interesting.
I
just
do
fixed-
find that one.
I
That
just
would be
fixed
I do think that one would be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Especially in the
That's
races
chaos.
that don't have the
Oh, no.
overtaking
Yeah.
as much.
That'd be so awesome.
Why was Kulak put with CC?
I
Is there
don't
any
know.
full reason for that one?
What's your
Is that
take
a
on this?
management thing? Like where it's like
It could
because
be.
maybe one's getting out, get this put on the 3rd, or
That might be a situation. I do think that at some point the pairings, like I think even Chris Knobloch said this, that the pairings got a little stale. Guys have been playing each other all year.
Yeah,
and he
maybe.
just wanted to. Remember, he changed it all up, and then that didn't go out and work very well. And so I think maybe he's changing a couple pairings at a time. I don't think Cece's playing very well right now. I think like you just watch him play, and he scored a goal the other night, but I think
a lot of people
he's
sort of go
making
the other
some
night.
bad decisions. He's late on plays. He's just not comfortable with the puck right now. So yeah, and when everyone's saying, "Oh, we need an upgrade on CC. We need an upgrade on CC," he hears this and I think it wears on a
He's
player.
very much aware of it,
much
as I'm
aware
told.
that everyone's like, oh, they're like Chris. Like to me, I was like, is Chris Tanev a big upgrade on CC? And a lot of people are like, yeah, he is. So I was like, they're trying to upgrade. They're trying to upgrade CC.
But is there an upgrade for CC? Like out
Like,
there
is
on
there
the
one
market,
available?
is there someone
We don't
out there that taking away the Ekholm type move from last year, from the names that are thrown out there? I don't know if there's a guy that is a full upgrade from CC.
Like, use Walker as an example before it sounds like he's going to re-up with Philly. He's a different defenseman than CC, right? Is he what the Oilers need? I don't necessarily know. More offensive guy, not as big as CC. How good is he in front of his own net? But he's different than CC. So some might view that as, if it were to have happened, an upgrade. Others would be like, well, why do you need another offensive defenseman? You're getting pretty good contributions from the blue line. You got a right shot guy that's, 50-some points for Bouchard. And Ekholm's having a good offensive season. Nurse is okay. So, yeah, I don't know. It's subjective, obviously. But in terms of names that are out there, Tanev was the one where you're like, yeah, that's a proven guy. But other than that, Matty makes good points. Like,
it doesn't seem to be a lot of names out there, but I think that's one. I know the players hate this time of year, especially when their names are coming up, and this guy should get traded. This guy should get traded. Maybe this guy's gonna. Like, I would hate that. Like, you imagine our jobs, like,
well, having gone through it twice, it's a pain in the ass.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but it's. I don't know. I think they may need upgrade there. I don't know. They're gonna do something because Ken Holland is not going to sit on his hands. He hasn't done that since from the very first time he got here. He was making moves at the deadline. Some haven't worked out, some have worked out, but he's taking a swing. He's going to take a swing, and we'll see what happens in Boston tonight. I think I'm really looking forward to that game. Should be a fun game.
Yep.
The Bruins. The Bruins are a very, very good hockey team. They're an exceptional hockey team, and then
Big win over the Leafs again yesterday.
the Leafs. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen in Toronto. They just, I feel bad for Sheldon Keith. I like Sheldon Keith. I think he's the next shoe to drop. Like, if things don't go well for the Leafs in the playoffs, he's gone.
Did I see DJ Smith on the Kings bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he joined. I think it was announced that he was joining.
When Jim Hiller took over? Yeah.
I think it was DJ Smith.
I was like, yeah, that didn't take long.
Just to give, he had to, he was joined the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Named him an assistant coach back at the start of February.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was surprised Keith stayed with the Leafs this year. Like, when Dubas was
up in
going
the
in, it
air,
just
right?
made more sense. And then, didn't he get an extension?
Yep. 2 years, I think.
Which was just like, well, I don't, Brad, new GM coming in. Why are you giving this full GM, giving the full extension type
I
thing?
think a lot of these extensions, they look to me like golden parachutes. Because you give a guy the extension, then you fire him. And then you don't feel so bad firing him because you've given him 2 years of the owner's money. Right? It happened with Woodcroft. It happened with McClellan.
Yeah.
It's happened a lot.
Ruff.
Yeah.
Lindy Ruff.
Lindy Ruff just got an extension back.
So-
McClellan has a couple years left on
Oh,
it. He
yeah.
had a 5-year contract. This is year, 3?
Well, no,
Isn't it 4?
they had extended him just before they fired him.
Right.
They did. They did that with Jay. So I sometimes I think that the general manager says, I feel bad. I'm going to fire you. Here's a 2-year golden parachute. You're gone. Like, I don't know how owners feel about that. You're paying a guy that doesn't work for you.
They don't like it.
I imagine they wouldn't.
They don't like it.
Right? But
I've
can
been
you
told.
imagine just telling your owner, I think this is our guy. We're going to sign him to an extension. We're going to give him another $6 million for the next
3
3
months
years.
later saying I'm
3 months
firing
later,
him.
Yeah, he's not our guy. We got to get rid of him. I mean, like, you just gave him $6 million. Like, I don't know. The way that world works is interesting to me. But I think even Brian Burke basically called it, when he got fired, they gave him a golden parachute. Here's $1 million, go away.
Sweet. I'll
Like,
do
all right,
that.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I want one of those.
Yeah.
Really bad. Like, I want the Rick DiPietro. Sign me to something,
man.
and then I want to be so bad that the only way to get rid of me is to pay me a little bit of it to be away.
Or like the Bobby Bonilla.
Yes. Oh, the Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla.
Well, we were talking about that the other day. That has to do with Bernie Madoff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the owner of the Mets at the time knew Bernie Madoff. Madoff was dealing with his money and said, I'll take that money that you owe Bonilla right now, make it so much that when you're paying Bonilla later, it's going to be nothing compared to what I've made you.
Yeah.
It didn't make him that
a
money.
bargain.
Bernie Madoff did not make him that money. There was a connection to the Bernie Madoff with the Bonilla story. Where
Yeah,
it
it's
was
$1 million a year for how long? He's still got
one
like,
point,
2029?
it's like 1.16 mil or something like that till 2036 or something like that.
crazy.
Every July 1st is
Every
Bobby
July
Bonilla.
1st,
Forget
Bobby
Canada
Bonilla
Day.
Bobby Bonilla Day, July 1st.
It's an amazing story,
It's
and
unbelievable.
How about Crusher yesterday talking about Raul Mondesi, and one day Mondesi had just a bunch of uncashed checks in his locker and they all fell out, and Crusher was helping him put them back into his stall. He's in jail for 8 years for what was it, fraud?
yeah, he's a mayoral candidate or the actual mayor, and did a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Bobby Bonilla, it's till 2035. He gets
Wow.
1.19 million.
2035. That's crazy.
He will be 72 when the payments end.
Oh my
That's
God.
So like just a nice little retirement fund right
Oh,
there.
my God.
Like it's great, dude. Like
7.
you could blow $1.19 million for the first 2 years, just every year, just blow it.
Yeah.
And then you still know I got some money coming in.
Well,
If I've
you're
completely
all
blown
good.
it, I could just have to. I got to figure it out at some point.
Yeah.
But
This is the thing that I can't figure out. Like, let's say you're getting $3 million a year. So you get your first $3 million. You buy yourself a nice car. You buy yourself a house. You buy your parents a house. Okay, you get all
You're
that
set.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
You're set. And then another $3 million comes in the next year. What do you do with that? Like, what do you do with
Start
the one
investing, man.
After that,
you
after
want to
that.
go
It's
from
like,
a millionaire to like 100 million, from 100 million to
To a
200
billionaire.
million to a billion.
yeah, no debts.
yeah,
Every year, go buy a new home somewhere else.
Oh,
Go
if
buy
you
a
want-
vacation home somewhere.
maybe.
assets.
It's all of that. It's he turned 5.9 million that he was owed into 30 million
amazing.
because deferred payments with 8% interest.
Amazing.
That is amazing. That's amazing. That's a great story. Unbelievable.
It's great and awful.
That needs to be a good like 30-minute documentary on it.
Oh, I think
Right.
there was. I think there has.
There
Hasn't
should
there
be.
been a 30 on 30?
Someone turned it into a Hollywood film. Forget
my
Moneyball.
God.
Like, well, I don't need
Bobby
the
Bonilla.
full money. Like,
Yeah.
a nice 30,
They
40-minute
owed him
film.
$5 million and they decided to defer
$5.9 mil to go away.
The
And
owner
instead
could
of
have
paying the
just cut him a
5.9,
check.
well, but Bernie Madoff is going to take that 5.9 million and make it a bunch of cash, so that the 30 million they owed him was nothing. You give me 5.9 right now, I will get you such returns on that. Don't give it to him, give it to me. I'm going to get you
my God.
returns. And that's what happened.
Bones says Bonilla is paying taxes on that money, so not a full 1.19, but still, that's a sweet payday every July 1st.
It is pretty sweet.
Bobby, what do you
and
do with your
it's-
time? Nothing, man.
Well, and then Shohei Ohtani's got deferred payments in his
Right.
Yes, he does.
contract,
Yeah.
which the state of California is upset by because
Well, baseball was upset by because they kind of didn't they somehow
Isn't it circumvent?
circumventing
Yeah, of
the
course it
cap?
is.
well, and for the state of California, because of how their laws work, and I could have the details a little off, you get taxed based on where you're living. So he could be making that money, like once he retires, he'll leave California.
And make it in
And he doesn't then owe
Japan.
the state of taxes
Right.
to California. And they're out a
Japan.
bunch of money because
Yeah.
they're looking at your 600 mil or whatever it is and going, we're losing 400 mils, I think, deferred or something. They won't get a lot of that
Right.
money. And so they're upset and they're trying to change laws there to change that and
Yeah.
stuff. So the deferred payment's a very smart way of going about it.
I
Split your
guess.
cash.
That's
Get some
crazy.
now, get some later when you're done.
That's the way it
Why
should be
not?
done. Yeah. That's the way it should be done. Like we've all seen that documentary Broke, right? The 30 for 30 of
Yeah.
all those athletes that have nothing. How do
Yeah.
you blow that money, man?
Who was the basketball player that blew all of his money, ended up like getting a job at Starbucks? He was a barista.
I don't remember. I
It's
know
like
Lamar
20 million.
Odom's had issues with cash. NBA player.
Lots of people. Who was the guy? I was in LA last year. They were talking about. Oh yeah, Terrell Owens. He's broke.
Terrell Owens is broke?
Yeah,
Damn.
and
You shocked by that?
He goes.
Yeah.
He goes
Yeah.
he goes to gyms to work out. He has no gym membership, so he'll go to a different gym. He goes, "Hey, MTO, do you let me work out here?" And usually the manager goes, "Yeah, sure, whatever." But that's
Post
how
an Instagram post that's good for the gym.
that's
Yeah.
how he worked. He can't afford a gym membership.
Wow. Ocho Cinco apparently was amazing with his money.
Really?
Yeah, so like polar opposite.
Yes. So
Do you guys know who Amanda Bynes is?
yes.
I saw like yesterday. I saw like one. She looks completely different. Like
Didn't
she
she
screwed
go
things up.
crazy?
Yeah, she's messed up with her money. She was going for her like pedicure license or something like that, or some.
What?
I know.
She was like
It's-
one of the
It's
it girls.
yeah,
in
it's
Hollywood.
wild how some of those some people it just various things happen or various things go and
She got caught up in drugs, if I recall correctly.
I don't know if that or if it was just also just mental health issues at
Yeah,
times too.
that's
Like
bad
I couldn't imagine
combination.
being a
A
teen or a child star and
yeah.
how that would mess with you.
Isn't
Oh, yeah.
Demi Lovato pretty messed up too? She's had a weird path the last 5
It'd
years.
be tough. Yeah.
It's a lot there.
You need the right or what is it? Jack Johnson? Was it the one? Was he the one that parents bankrupted?
Yeah.
his?
Yep. Still
Yes.
playing.
Is he?
Yeah.
Where is he?
He scored a goal not like last week. I can't remember where but he did score last week, and I
Yeah,
was like,
'cause-
oh, he's still going.
Colorado gave him a welcome back, didn't they?
That's what. No,
He's playing for Colorado.
for Colorado. That's
No, it's
right.
Colorado. Who gave him
Yeah.
a welcome back?
I don't know. He's played for like 15 teams in the last 7 years.
Kings, Blue Jackets, Pens, Rangers, Blackhawks, Avs. Avs being the most recent team for him.
I was being,
But Avs, he's still
Hyperbolized.
playing with the Avs.
yeah.
Yeah. Someone gave him a welcome back.
And what, Stanley
And
Cup
then-
winning champion?
It's same
Where's
thing. Like,
Eric
remember
Johnson
that tennis
right
player, Arancha Sanchez Vicario? She was really
Yeah.
good. Her parents stole our home money. too.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
she ended up suing her parents, and her parents were like, "Sue us for what? We've wasted all the money." Like, you got to be careful with your money.
Why for the parents though to do that? Like,
Well, the thing
jeez.
is, you get your parents as your financial advisors, and this is the problem. It's like when you get your friends and family involved in you got to keep family.
This goes
separate,
back to what you
business
said
separate.
like earlier about the billionaire. Like if you're a billionaire, you don't know who.
You don't know who you're.
When you're that pro athlete who's getting drafted soon to the NFL or whatever, you're gonna have a lot of people coming out who are like,
Oh,
"I'm
yeah.
your friend. Hey, I got a great business deal, 10 G's, but I got like, look at this.
No, I worked
you've
8
got
years,
all of
I
that.
worked 8 years in junior hockey in a small town. They knew who was
Yeah.
going to make it, who wasn't going to make
Right.
it. Like, I'm telling you. Like, some of those people, they try to kind of catch your star and go with it. Like, it's just the entourages and the hangers on, and we were all buddies. And if one guy makes it, we all make it. And yeah, no, that shouldn't work that way.
Eric Johnson's with the Sabres.
Would you? He makes $3 million. I'm looking it up right now. But would that be a guy you would consider to bring in as
Eric
a
Johnson
veteran guy
for the Oilers.
Yeah, I'm glad I thought of him. Oh, Joel says Demi and Brittany were abused while in the Disney business, and Demi almost died of an OD with her boyfriend that did. Oh my God, that's scary, man.
Brittany's a sad story.
That is, and like the videos she posts now of her like weird dancing, and
She's,
it's like, oh no.
something's not right. with
Because
that
she
girl.
was as big as they ever were. It's just how high she was, and it just parents, dad, just
Well, her dad controlled all. Her dad controlled all the money.
yeah.
And she-
Like there was a point where there's like she was living in a hotel in Vegas or something, I think, during her residency, and she wasn't allowed to like leave the hotel.
Oh my God.
So she'd post videos like she'd get the hotel to bring her flowers, and she'd make like bouquets. That's how she spent her days.
Oh, that's
crazy.
awful.
And this is was the queen of the late 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s.
yeah,
Wow.
that's insane.
Rip City Step says the TLC ladies have a good explanation of how quickly the money disappears to managers, promoters, record companies, etc. Even when you're in a superstar level band, everybody wants to get their hands in your
Yeah.
pockets, right?
Yeah. I don't have that problem. I don't have any money. So, not that type of money. Like, I don't have, billionaire problems or millionaire problems.
Yeah. Jasmine says that the 30 for 30 broke is fascinating because
Yeah.
they try to show that they're ballers and go broke doing so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like James Harden going to Da Baby's birthday party gives him like a $50,000 duffel bag full of honey buns, which are stacks of, I think, 10,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, why does Da Baby need money from a basketball player as a birthday gift?
What else?
Give him a card.
Maybe.
I love
With a
that James
Subway-
Harden with a nice Hallmark
with a
card.
Subway
Happy
coupon.
birthday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Here you go,
Can
Da
you read
Baby.
it in front of me?
Yeah.
Just everyone sitting there, sitting very peacefully in the nightclub in Vegas or whatever it is, and they're all just
popping bottles, dancers.
But everyone
behind
reading
them.
all these cards. Oh, thank you. Just so gangster,
Yes. Oh,
hilarious.
that'd be great.
So, but no trades so far today. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's
Like,
been quiet.
It's been quiet.
This has
Like,
been
I
fun
think-
though.
It's why do we what do we attribute? Is everyone doing kind of like what the Oilers are doing? They have to wait till it's close to the deadline as possible to get as much cap space as possible.
I don't know. Maybe TSN asked everyone to hold off on trades till trade.
No, I don't think they care about TSN that much anymore.
Or
But Sportsnet would want it still.
Sportsnet
Yeah,
would want it
yeah.
as well.
Sportsnet, yes. They
Right.
speaking
Please,
of
we got
paying
4
up.
hours of
It's
show to
interesting.
fill.
Like the NBA and NHL are very much similar schedules. NBA starts a little bit later and stuff. They end about the exact same time. NBA trade deadline was the beginning of February. NHL we're going to the middle
Yeah, I
of March.
think
Does
we're-
it change? Like the speculation's done earlier in the NBA.
Well,
but there's more teams that are out of it at that time that
Well, I
they
think
could
the
potentially
NBA
sell
they
off.
got half the players that do in the NHL, and then you divide that by the players that actually want to move. And then in the NBA too, there's a rule where you can't trade a player. The salaries have to equal.
Mm-hmm.
So they got a bunch of players that haven't played in like 5 years that are still on the books, and those guys are getting traded even though they haven't played in 5 years. Like, I think there was it Danny Ferry got traded like 6 times and he wasn't playing. He had retired, but he hadn't retired because he just, so it's kind of interesting. Yeah. So.
I'd like to read this from our friend Stephen Wino from the AP. The Avalanche have signed Ivan to a 2-year contract.
That's funny. Ivan. Good for him.
Well
I like
done,
Steve.
Wino.
Yeah.
What are the rules with waivers or like AHL players coming up for playoffs? Coming up here, because that's usually around the deadline too. Like this,
Yeah, it's like clear list or something
Yeah.
like that. Because you have to be on the clear list if you want to be able to play on the AHL roster.
but you also you want people eligible to come up to the NHL.
Yeah,
no?
it's a clear list day, so you might see some call ups and stuff and immediate send downs. I have to go over that again.
Yeah,
I
because like
remember that was
Broberg
the
would
thing.
have to be on that, or
Yeah.
is he already cleared?
Well, he's down there.
No,
so.
he's down there. He'd have to come up, and I think.
And then after the
Legault-
deadline, there's no rules to like roster and stuff like that. I think it is
For the playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Or
throw
no,
this one
can
up.
you have as many guys on the roster as you want at the trade
At
deadline
playoff-
after the deadline?
Well, not up here, but only in playoffs.
In playoffs, you can have as many.
You can have as many because there's no.
Because all the black aces come up once they're eliminated.
You can have as many players as you want, but they got to be still under the salary cap.
Right.
So, but playoffs, there's no salary cap, so then you can bring up
yeah.
all the other guys that skate with you. Black aces and yeah.
He's gonna get mad at me right away here.
Why? What?
So you have to do something with Jack Campbell then, to have him eligible for the playoffs.
No, because I think he's.
Oh, I don't know.
like if an injury occurred, to have him as a backup or something, or is that if an injury occurs, he's
Because you
eligible?
get your 4 emergency call ups, right?
I think it's 4 or 5. I can't remember.
4.
It's 4.
But like so playoffs, like he'd be eligible for playoffs without
And
being
it's-
called up or
it's
something.
For
Because
playoffs, anybody.
yeah,
Yeah, but there's a rule in the AHL. You have to be on the clear list to play in the playoffs in the AHL.
so it's the reverse.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You can't send
So you're not worried about
essentially,
anyone
if,
for
if
the
your
Oilers.
team
Not
is out of
really.
the playoffs in the NHL, you can't send all these NHLers to go play in the AHL
yeah,
for their playoffs.
like if you wanted Connor Brown to play in the AHL playoffs, you'd have to send him down.
You might as well.
That's what it is.
yeah, Connor Brown. Did you?
Maybe
Okay,
he'll
that
score.
play. I pointed out this play, and I know I've taught. There's been a lot of. So I pointed out this play on Twitter the other day. Did you see the play where he took the puck? It was a nice long nice long pass. He got it at the blue line, and there was
Oh,
like
yeah.
2 guys on the wall, and there was a massive lane to the net, and he took it and dumped it in the
It was
corner.
a beautiful 10-foot chip into the
It
corner.
was like, and I
Immaculate.
stopped. I watched that play about 4 or 5 times, and it was a massive lane to the net. It was like, and if you had looked up and gone, there's no one between me and the net.
Yeah.
I'm going.
yeah, the D were like
The
20
D were
feet
on
apart.
the wall. They're 20 feet apart. There's no way they're getting them, and he decides to take the puck and he does a chip into the corner. Like, this guy has no confidence whatsoever. Like,
Yeah, that
if
was-
you can't see that, you can't see. And I remember we were up in the press box and we're all like, what is he doing?
Great dumping.
like-
That's what it was.
Making the safe play at $3 million a year. Like, it's
4, but,
unbelievable.
whatever.
Like, whatever.
It's
Who's
just
counting?
Details, yeah.
Right? Like, it's
Well, he is. What do you call it? The 3.25.
It's the penalty. It's a penalty next year. It's
Yeah,
not a
it
cap
is.
bonus. It's
No,
a
it's a
penalty.
penalty. It's a
The
penalty.
Oilers accepted a penalty this year by allowing him to play that 10th game. They should not have let
Well,
him do
the
that.
contract should have been 10 goals, not 10 games.
Yeah.
Easily. Like, but the moment that was the contract,
Yeah.
after game 9, it just the smart play would have been
Right?
send
Sit
him
him
down.
the whole year.
You send him to the American Hockey League for next year. Is it what would have sitting him all year really changed anything?
Well, next
Knowing
year's
what
not
we
even
know
gonna
now,
play on your team.
like to me, I said this after game 9, so this isn't 2020 hindsight. You send him down. Maybe if he's playing well in the American Hockey League, there's a moment in January, February, you take the chance and you bring him up.
Yeah.
And you take that hit then at that point because you're saying, like, look, this guy's producing down there. We've got to bring him back up here. But if he doesn't produce down there, you've now saved yourself the 3.25 next year. But instead, the cap goes up $4 million next year, whatever, and the majority of that's going to Connor Brown.
Yeah. That's the thing.
The Oilers don't get the cap increase next year because they've allowed Connor Brown to keep playing this year.
Yikes.
yeah.
And he's going to sign a minimum contract next year. And he's going to score 10 to 15 goals with his new team.
Including
People are
against
like,
the
"What?"
Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, people
He'll
are like,
come
"What
to Edmonton and
happened?"
score.
He'll score a hat
Where
trick
was
against the
that
Oilers.
last year?
Yeah. He's
I
just
get
he's
it.
a guy with absolutely no confidence right now.
No.
But
It's just-
he's just scared to shoot the puck even.
Why do
It's
you
one of
mock
those,
his
if he
dump and chase?
scores, you feel like there'll be a couple. I feel like he
Maybe.
gets one
Maybe he'll
that
finish
he'll
with
feel really
5.
good, and then,
I'd like to see him
like
get
he'll
one.
get like
Yeah.
2 or 3 the rest of the season and
Right.
finish at 4 goals.
Well, I've downgraded him from potential Michael Pekka in the playoffs to Peter Klima. So he scores the most important goal of the season for the team.
He
And
might-
almost
overtime.
He might
Yeah.
be sitting in the press box beside us. In
Yeah,
the
he
playoffs.
should be.
Back in the lineup though tonight, or keeps playing tonight.
They keep playing him. They're hoping he somehow.
But is Sam like for no, something like is Sam
Sam
Gagner
Gagner's
really?
got 5 goals. I don't, somehow they like
think
him.
he's
I
an
didn't
everyday
mind Sam's
NHLer.
game the other night. I didn't mind. I thought that line actually had a very good first period with Holloway and Brown. And aside
Holloway's
from-
got to start scoring. Like he does a lot of good
Yeah.
things, but there's got to be a time where first rounder he's got to start scoring.
He's hit like a full season of NHL games. Now he's at 83 off the top of my
It's
head.
about time. Start.
Start. Now,
gotta start
now it's got to
producing.
click.
Yeah, you got to start producing. He's got the tools. He's got the talent. He's a smart player.
It's like the Ghostbusters. You got the tools. We got the talent.
Talent. Yeah.
Dead on 82 NHL games.
Nah, see,
you
I
go.
was close.
Dead on NHL season. So
now
tonight
it-
he starts his season 2.
So
Get
now
that
you got to
confidence
start.
going.
Yeah, you got to start scoring. You got to start contributing. Like at some point.
I am
You can't
encouraged
have
by
too
his
many
play.
Bottom 6 guys not doing anything.
Yeah.
Derek Ryan hasn't done anything in a long time.
He's
Jan
back
Mark
in
hasn't
action
done
tonight.
anything in a long time.
Janmark had a
Well, he
hot
had a-
streak.
well, he had a-
How dare
He's
you?
in the
He
top
had-
6.
he had a
Yeah,
couple
how
of
dare
goals.
you
He had a
mock his
couple good
top
games,
6
and then
minutes?
he takes about a lot of bad penalties in the offensive zone.
Oh, that's not good.
So I'm just saying that those guys, you can't just be there as time fillers and wait for McDavid and Drysdale to get back on the ice. You have to start creating something. You have to start doing something, right? These droughts that Fogle and McLeod go through, they're too long. They gotta
McLeod
be
had
more
a big
consistent.
night. That was good.
Yeah, after he had 1 point
15,
in 15
yeah.
games.
How many moves do the Oilers make before Friday?
I think
Deadline?
at least 2.
At least 2. They want to make 3. At least 2.
Wants one thing though. Like you'd want a few things, but Cap's gonna keep
Well,
and
the
the
Cap-
assets is like
Well,
there's
you
not
know
a
what?
lot of
The
assets.
thing that now the teams are doing the 3-team deals, right?
It's nice to see.
and it's like now these, it's
It's taken too long for this to happen. I think a lot of people would have pointed this out a few years ago that you should get other teams involved in
teams
this. And now
involved, and-
finally GMs are
well,
actually
it's
doing
collusion,
this.
isn't it? Like I'm going to trade
it's under
you.
the CBA,
I'm going
it's
to
fine
trade
then.
you Chris Tanev, but you got to trade him to those guys.
Well, it's not collusion. It's a 3-team
You got to
trade.
retrain.
It's a 3-team
How's
trade.
that different from decades past? How's that different from decades past? They always did stuff like that.
I guess
It's not a
but
collusion.
Yeah.
No,
Well, it's a
been
3-team
done.
trade.
Yeah.
They're all, but so you're going, I'm sending you here. You're going to, like, so now it has to, for the cap thing, it has to be done into different deals. But
I'm sending you this guy, but you have to promise me to send him to that guy.
you are because you're getting this asset.
It's just-
Yeah. Little John says, boys, if Oilers traded Brown at deadline, can they trade away the bonus penalty for next year's cap? I don't think they
no,
can.
No,
they
I
can't.
think the
It's on
only
next
way-
year's- it's on
Yeah.
next year's
You
books.
have to create the
defer-
cap space this year
Yeah.
for the cap. It's a bonus to come onto this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So you'd have to trade away. Like, it would have worked if the Oilers were going to miss the playoffs. They could
Right.
have traded away salary,
Yep.
tried to lower,
Yeah.
and then have that come into here.
Yeah.
But the Oilers aren't going to miss the playoffs.
that cap's on
So
next
now
year.
it's you'd have to trade pieces away, but not bring any pieces in because you've created the cap space, which you're not going to do if you're this
And
team.
and then mind you, they're
Unless you
gonna
can do it.
buy out Jack Campbell.
They're not buying him out. They're trading him.
Who's gonna take Jack Campbell?
Dude, they're not going to do.
Who's
they're not,
taking
they're-
Jack Campbell?
That's
Who was going to take Cal Peterson? Philadelphia took him. Did it cost LA? Yes.
Yeah. So
It's
what's the price
doable.
going to be?
I don't know. I honestly don't
Is
know.
it a first?
But I know
Because
that
Patrick
they're
Marleau was a first.
they're dead set against having dead cap space, especially for
they should
Campbell,
be.
where it's 6 years.
Yeah.
But how
They're
much?
not- it creates cap space, but they are going to have dead cap space for 6
years.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
They
Broncos
do
dead
not
cap
want
space.
that.
Whatever
85 million
Yeah,
for the
that's
Broncos.
insane.
whatever's owed on them, that's double what the length of the contract is.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up quickly here.
So if they owe him 3 years on their contract at $5 million a year, then whatever
like 2.5 for the next
over
six.
6
If they
years.
bought him out this summer, the cap hit for the Oilers would be 1.1 next year, 2.3 the year after, 2.6 the year after, 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Where that's not bad for the Oilers, and I hate buyouts. I hate dead cap.
They're dumb.
But it's the caps. We're in a position now where we're going to start seeing the cap go up
Yeah.
every year. You would think.
Yeah.
And so Is 2.3, 2.6 not next year, but the 2 years after that big of a cap hit? I'd argue no.
Okay, and that's totally fair, and I get that. But look at where they are right now. Listen, I know we're coming out of the flat cap period, but that extra 1 point whatever or 2 point whatever per year is an extra forward. It's an extra roster player. It's a 7th D man. They literally don't have that because they're so tight to the cap. They have dead cap space with guys that they bought up. James Neal. And then now you're going to add another guy. Like,
Well, James Neal has one more year
crucial.
after this year at
is crucial.
1.916 million for dead cap.
Right. You're gonna have 3.25 million with
But
Brown,
you
then
get
you're
an
gonna have. You're telling me you're gonna have Jack Campbell because you need to buy him? No, you're trading that and you're paying the assets to trade that away. So
But
you don't have
also-
6 years of dead cap space.
The one difference, though, is that if you trade away with the asset, that asset that you traded away with Jack Campbell might be something you would have wanted next year's trade deadline to bolster this team.
Yeah. Or you can make the argument that draft is a crapshoot. And you probably that pick.
Well, I'm
will
not saying
turn
you
into-
keep that pick.
No,
like
I
I'm
know.
saying, like if
I know.
let's say it was the 2025 first you used with Jack Campbell, type of hypothetically, because the 24 is going to be gone this year.
Right, probably.
The 24 is probably going to be gone by Friday. So if you're trading with Jack Campbell, and let's say it's a first, it's going to be 2025 first, which means next year when you go on the trade deadline, you don't have a 2025 first to trade for something. That's like it's. I also like even if you have an asset, what team's going to want him?
Yeah.
That's a big part of that too.
It's
Well, if you
not
can
that they
trade
want
him,
it; it's
it
where
will-
they can bury him.
Well,
it's not. It's not, nobody wants him. Okay.
No, but like who's willing to even just say like that asset's worth it for me
But if you
to
trade
bury
him,
him
wouldn't
and
you have
stuff.
to retain salary? It wouldn't be the same difference.
no,
No.
you can
Yeah,
trade his whole contract away.
I think if you're
no
adding
one's taking his whole
assets,
contract.
if you're
Yes,
adding
they are.
assets,
They
you
are.
make that work so you lose the entire contract.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your
that's-
assets could come down a bit. Like if I'm the Oilers and I'm saying I have to eat half, you're not
Then
getting
you
a first
basically
with
you've got
this.
dead cap space, basically.
Right, but here's the one difference though about salary retention versus buyout is that it's only through
For the-
years,
for the
right?
remainder
Like
of the
you
contract.
at least don't have it for those remaining years.
Yeah.
You could do it shorter.
So it's not as painful.
Well, it's not
Right.
as painful for as long. Like it's not
Right.
6
and
years.
what I
It's
say-
only 3.
Yeah, like the next 2 years, his cap hit was going to be with a buyout. What did I say? 2.3 or
Yeah.
something like that. You're really not gaining the. It's going to be 2.5 or whatever it
2.5
is.
for 3 years.
But then you don't have that 1.5 those remaining 3 years. It's completely clear, and maybe save an asset.
Yeah.
In terms of your trade. But for a team that doesn't want dead cap, they really gave Connor Brown nice
Well, exactly.
situation there.
Like,
It's
we don't
kind
want- we don't
of
want
talking
that
out of both sides of their mouths right there. We got to keep playing Connor Brown and make sure he gets the cap bonus for next year. But no, we don't want to take dead money.
Well, that cap. 10 games. 10 games is nothing.
10
Corey
goals,
Perry
whatever
got the
that-
exact same deal,
Yeah.
the exact same bonus structure, which was surprising.
Well, he's outscored Connor Brown right
Which
away.
didn't surprise anyone, I don't think.
Not
I
us,
asked
so-
you on the oil stream that day, say who scores first, and it was like, yeah, it's going to be Corey Perry.
Perry. Yeah.
multiple times.
I don't know. Just Connor Brown. You're playing with Connor McDavid on a team with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and you can't score a goal. There's something wrong there. Eventually, you're going to get stuck on the ice with them. Just go to the net. Stick on the ice. Say, bank one in off me.
Well, that game in Calgary where he had the wide open net and fired it right at Dan Vladar's
Well,
arm.
he's had a wide open net hit crossbars. Like he had a wide open backhand to hit the crossbar. He had the whole net to shoot at.
He had the one goal.
How does
blazed
this
off.
franchise have this happen twice in the span of like 5 years?
I don't know, man.
Where a player maybe goes an
It's-
entire season without
Yeah, I
scoring.
don't know. It's
That's unbelievable. It's
a
but
Team
now he's not
franchise.
even bothering trying to shoot. He's gone from shooting and hitting goalies and hitting crossbars to like, oh, there's a free lane to the net. I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna make
it
the
in.
safe play. I'll make the safe dump in.
He needs to sit and
And
talk with
people are,
Zach
like
Hyman
arguing
about
with me. He's like, oh, he made the safe play. When you had the whole lane
he
to go to
chipped
the net
it 15 feet into the corner.
to the corner, you had a lane to the net. You had essentially a breakaway. I was like having essentially a breakaway and dumping the puck in the corner, which I once suggested Todd Marchand do, by the way, when I was younger, because he was never scoring on breakaways.
Well, he proved you wrong.
He did prove me wrong.
the one time.
The one
Marchand
time.
would
It's a
get
pretty
2
big one.
breakaways a game, and it'd be like, oh, it's Todd Marchand, and wouldn't score.
What speed that guy had.
Oh, he had great speed.
He was amazing.
He just no hands.
Hey, carved out a really good career. Won a Stanley Cup with
did.
Anaheim. He's still in the game. I think he's a AGM or
He's
scout.
still working. He's still
Is
working
he?
with the
Yeah.
Ducks, I think. So
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
see
gonna
him,
say, is it with
see
the
him
Ducks?
around from time
Yeah,
to
yeah.
time. Yep.
yeah, he's
The
still.
Oilers had him back, I think, during the final year of Rexall.
They did.
I think he was one of those guys that had because every game they had a former player.
Yeah,
they
I
waved.
interviewed him. He's friendly, but people told me he could be kind of standoffish.
he could be.
He was fine.
He
I
could
thought
be,
he was great.
I remember back in the day, I was kind of an intern at the Journal, and I'd go and talk to him, and he could be
Prickly?
standoffish, prickly, American. Could be American.
Oh, stop it with the American thing.
They're not as friendly as Canadians.
No, just you know, they're
They are very friendly.
some of them are, but you know.
Coming up next, it will be the Lock Shop, Dusty and Huss, and then at noon, 2 guys and a goalie, Matt Cassie and Joaquin Gage, Dustin Nielsen getting set for Oilers Bruins later tonight. Tommy's got the pregame show 4 o'clock right here in Edmonton Sports Talk, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, or on YouTube. And you've got hockey tonight to watch.
I got a couple of games to watch, and then one I'll be watching my nephew.
Yeah.
Playing at 5, and then I'll have my little trusty laptop.
And then Big Brother Canada's later tonight.
Oh,
So
of course.
I'll text you guys
Yeah,
when
let
it's
us know.
on.
Please
so you guys
don't.
could.
we can go watch it at the bar. You think they'll play it for us if we ask them?
It'll be after the Oiler game when it's on.
No.
So you can watch the Oiler game, then go right into Big
We'll
Brother
go to the
Canada.
bar. We'll say, "Can you put Big Brother Canada?"
Listen,
on?"
we have
Let's do
made
that.
friends with a lot of bartenders
Yeah.
in and around our community,
Yeah.
and they would outright refuse us Big
would-
Brother.
I have a buddy that I went to a bar and he got it on.
Really?
How
A few
much did
years
he have
ago.
to pay for that?
I don't know. I'll go to the bar and ask for it.
Come with us tonight.
We'll do that, and we'll get Big Brother Canada put on.
we'll
It's
go-
way better than the American.
They're
right
gonna
now.
send you to the
way
corner.
better than the American. version.
Great.
Derek, thanks for coming in.
No, thanks for
as
having me in,
always.
guys. Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the EST Hangout, which is presented by Whiteclaw Hard Seltzer. Like I said, in just a few minutes, it will be the Lock Shop right here in Edmonton Sports Talk. On behalf of Tom, Derek, I'm Matt. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the Oiler game later tonight, and I will chat with you tomorrow.
Let's go. There you go, right in front of the camera.
First-time guest, long-time listener, fan of the original draft commissioner.
Welcome to the EST Hangout presented by Whiteclaw Hard Seltzer. The difference is clear. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with here. Joining us today